Good afternoon. Got to start. Shout out all Toronto Blue Jays fans. We did it. We all did it. We all participated. There was never any doubt, not a shred of doubt in my mind. Toronto Blue Jays going to the World Series for the third time in my life. But I don't remember the last two because I was a baby. But anyway, welcome to Scouching Live. Also, I believe I saw a thing that Trey Savage is starting Game 1, and he'll be the youngest starter for a Game 1, or the least experienced Game 1 World Series starter. Basically, what I'm saying is the Toronto Blue Jays are going to sweep the LA Dodgers. That's what I'm getting at. You also almost made it to the beginning of the show with my microphone all the way out here. I realized about 5 seconds before I actually hit the button to go live that I didn't have my microphone in front of my face. So that would have been embarrassing, but we avoided it. Welcome to Scouching Live. It is, of course, your host, Will. I am alone. Mr. AJ is out doing his work, and so I am on my own today. So you get all of me for the next couple of hours. So welcome to the show. I've been very hard at work. Let me take a look at some of the guys I've taken a look at since the last time we spoke together. Which is accessible through the Scouching Discord server, available at any tier of subscription at the at scouching.ca. And I also, by the way, if you're a partner subscriber, I just updated all of the spreadsheets for this year. So 2026 stuff is in there. My current rankings are in there. They're also on the screen. But yeah, I mean, I there's lots going on out there, so you can check it out at scouching.ca. There's a link in the chat. But recently, let's see who have been some of the guys since last week? What was last week? The 16th? All right. I don't know if I said this on last Thursday, but I'll just include Thursday anyway. I took a look at Ilia Morozov, the kid playing college hockey. Adam Anderson playing in Sweden. I took a look at Noah Kosick. Seamus Ignatavicius got another game. I took another game of him. We did another game of Juho Piiparainen. Ryan Brown, Sarnia Sting, Nikita Sherbakov of Ufa, Salavat Yulayev. And then the 20th, we did, who else do we get here? Keaton Veerhoff, Georgios Pantelis, Tyler Challenger, Landon Nitsch, Casey Mutryn got another game. Who else is in here? Chad Legitsakos, Vladimir Dravechki, Viggo Bjorck, Ivar Stenberg, all the hits, all the big ones. Thomas Horenko, Verti Svensk, Jan Darin. That's a deep cut. I think there might only be one person who knows who that is, but took a look at him. Cruz Paveo, Noah Ta'amu, Arthur Hostein, a French boy. We got a little weird yesterday. We went a little bit off the track and went to France and then went to Austria yesterday, which was kind of fun. Took a look at Arthur Hostein, I think it's Hostein. He's French. And Musa Hackert, the Malian kid from Germany, he's German, but he's also Malian. You know what I mean. But anyway, I liked him at the Holinka. Took a look at him at the Alps Hockey League level with the Red Bull Junior team. Took a look at Ali Shersarkanov this morning and a game of Kasper Justavara Karlsson. There's probably a few more that I'm forgetting, but that's what I remembered and put in the notes for the Discord server. So that's kind of what I've been up to recently. And again, like I said, all the spreadsheets on the site are updated. And also I hope the person who was here on Monday night saying where did the rankings go or whatever, they're back. So you can take a look now. Screen cap it, post it on HF boards, call me a moron, the whole 9 yards, do the whole thing. But we're having some fun. Obviously, I mean, I after the show, finished the Jays game. What a night, I mean, that I was on my back porch when George Springer hit the home run to put the Jays up, and I thought I was gonna. There are some boards in my deck that are a little bit old and probably need to be replaced. They might survive one more winter, but might be on their last little studs there. On their last screws, so to speak, and I thought I was going to be jumping right through it. I could not contain myself. I couldn't believe what I had just seen. That's the third or fourth ridiculous playoff home run from a Toronto Blue Jay that's happened in the last decade, which is wild. But anyway, go Jays go. I am on the bandwagon. I will fully admit I watched maybe one or two Blue Jay games all season long, and I am pretending like I know everything now, so you're just going to have to deal with it. I have never seen anything like Trey Savage. George Springer is the greatest baseball player to ever live. That's all I need to know. I mean, I think Chris Bassett was fun to watch. He's a fun-to-watch pitcher, just that 70-mile-an-hour nonsense. I love that in an era of fireballers. But in any case, good stuff. I'm a baseball fan for now. I got a text from a friend this morning that was like, hypothetically, if I were to get tickets for World Series Game 1, how much would you be willing to spend? I took 1 second and looked at ticket prices as I was brushing my teeth this morning. Yeah, it's not happening. I love all of you subscribers to the site, but there aren't enough of you to validate that purchase. So unfortunately, that's not what's going to happen. So we're going to be watching it on TV. We're going to have a lot of fun. But anyway, let's dig into some questions. Again, usually in the old days, we used to do questions in the back half of the show, but we're going more loosey-goosey, so we're going to just go along with the flow here, get involved, get vocal, ask me anything, right? Like, I'm an open book for 2 hours straight. I have my Canada Dry Cranberry Ginger Ale. Once again, they have not reached out to me for a potential deal. I would very happily, if you know anybody is Canada Dry its own company? Yes, Mott's Canada Dry, Mississauga. If you know anybody there and they're looking for someone to advertise their products, I'm down, because Canada Dry, good for a hangover, good to just sip on, and when they have the cranberry stuff, it flies off the shelf in our house. So there you go. Okie doke. Let's do it. That's what I'm here for. Nick Lardis, right off the top. Yeah, Nick Lardis is off to a great start this year. I honestly haven't seen Rockford this year yet. I honestly haven't seen any AHL yet. I've been just grinding away. There's still a lot of guys that I want to see and track for the first time in my little database right now. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to check up on too many drafted prospects or anything like that. A few in the NHL, obviously. We did a lot of that a few weeks ago, but now, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, Nick Lardis definitely can score points, and I'm glad he's doing it. It would be really, it's a really good thing to see. Still very early in the year, but yeah, cool. I mean, off to a great start. I just haven't seen any of it. So I'll just defer to Blackhawks fans, and, if he's Himothy, he's going to be Himothy. If he's Himothy, he's Jimothy, all right? Let's do it. As a Sharks fan, I want to cry. 17 straight losses going back to last year. Yeah, the Sharks vibes, I think, are running out. And there's a Sharks fan who I love dearly in our Scouching server, a very talented musician, by the way. And I asked him, I was like, I mean, the Sharks have been a team of vibes for a long time. Are the vibes running out? And he goes, I think they died. It's like, I think they're starting to very quickly die. We are really hoping this team stops being what they are. And I hope they are too. I mean, again, you look up and down that roster. I don't think anybody is expecting them to dominate the league or anything, but not 17 straight losses, right? Like, that's not what you want. It's not over, right? Like, my whole barometer is like, you can start thinking about the kind of season you might be having when you're 20 games in, and we're nowhere near that yet. So you still have some time to turn things around. I also haven't seen much of the Sharks, so I can't really pick them apart. I'm sure Sharks fans can do that for me anyway, whatever that means to them. But, I mean, I look up and down that roster, and there's still a lot of guys on there where I'm like, I see it, but, like, if it isn't the kids, there's not a whole lot of value going on there. But we're still very early. You never know. Teams have been worse and turned it around. I don't know. I mean, I just hope the Sharks are like competitive-ish. That's kind of my barometer, is like not bottom of the basement. And yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm holding out just because, Sharks fans, I love you. Any team that Artur Zerbe played for is close to me and dear to me and near to me, because he is the greatest hockey player that ever lived. How much of a concern should Mitchkov's slow start be to the Flyers, both short and long term? I mean, the thing about stuff like this, number one, when you get rid of John Tortorella and bring in Rick Tocchet, I don't know what you expect, right? Like a guy like Mitchkov, that it doesn't seem to make much sense as a fit, right? Mitchkov and Zegras go into the Flyers. Like I wonder, I'm not certain of this at all, I'm just speculating, but I wonder if there is a little bit of a disconnect somewhere in Philadelphia where they are amassing players who are, I think, very potentially successful in the modern NHL, but the environment they're putting them in is still lagging behind a little bit. Like when they hired Rick Tocchet, I thought Philadelphia was going to get creative, like do the Martin St. Louis angle where they, do an exhaustive search and really sort of think outside the box and even look at Montreal and sort of the improvement and the marketability of the Montreal Canadiens now relative to the Bergevin era is exponentially higher. I am watching the Montreal Canadiens now, right? Like they have done so many things that I think are so cool and so like just smart. And the Martin St. Louis hiring on paper is insane. But looking back on it and the fact that they've stuck with him, clearly they like where this is going. Clearly they are feeling pretty good about it, right? It's this environment that they've created for all of these young players to they're legitimately battling each other for roster spots, right? Like you're seeing guys come in and out of the lineup and, veterans are coming and going and these young guys are getting a shot and, it's very sort of fluid, which is fine for a bunch of young kids, right? And I thought Philadelphia, if I was Danny Briere, that's the direction I would go, right? I would look at a college coach or look at someone who has a lot of experience dealing with 20-somethings, right? Like, I don't know. It's happening in Toronto too with Craig Berube, where I'm watching these guys play and I'm like, this is just not how the NHL is played anymore. It's very clear to me that there is the reputation of a lot of coaches kind of precedes itself. So bringing it back to Mitchkov, like I think Mitchkov is the type of player where you kind of have to let him have a little bit of breathing room, right? Like I think as a coach, you kind of have to know which players kind of you tolerate a certain level of risk with them, and it's like you give and you take with them, right? And if you're a coach who doesn't believe in that type of thing, and it's like, no, if my high-end guys that are risk takers are taking too many risks for my liking, I'm going to mute them. I'm going to bring them down a little bit and try to harness that. And I don't know if that's always the best option. Like, I feel like that's when things get a little bit, a little bit hairy, or at least you have to be very careful. Now, with Matvei Mitchkov, like, he's an unbelievably talented player, but like, he's not frustrating at times. Like, that has always been the case, right? Like, but I feel like you have to be really careful with guys like Mitchkov, where it's like, at times they can be frustrating, but like, would you rather a really talented offensive player be frustrating at times, but put out a lot of results and really be able to push results in the NHL, which I think Mitchkov has been able to do? And again, I also have not forgotten the Flyers fans yelling at me for not considering Mitchkov for a Calder Trophy last year, right? That's where we were, right? So I think you have to kind of ask yourself, like, are we still there? Are we still Mitchkov is one of the best rookies in the world? Because if that's the case, then you buy the dip at this point, right? Like the chatter is down, the talk is down on him. But like, why? A few games under a new coach, and it's like, he's getting benched and like all this stuff. There's nothing you can do. Number one. Number two, the coach is hired. I don't think he's going anywhere. So if you look back on this in retrospect and go, yeah, they may not have made the best choice there for like a developing young team, then so be it, right? Like, I don't know. But I mean, again, like, for your own mental well-being, I wouldn't be too worried about it, just because there's not anything you can do about it. And also, it's not like he's bad. Like, Mitchkov is a very good player, and I think that'll sort itself out. I do think he's a player that like needs coaching and like development, but that a player like that with a with the wrong path is not a good thing, right? The thing that also blows my mind about that is they just went out and got a player like that in Trevor Zegras, who has just been in Anaheim under Greg Cronin, and kind of got, I don't know what happened to him, right? Like, yes, he always was a bit of an issue defensively, to say the least. But again, like, you have to have risk tolerance with a player that talented. Like, you notice them a lot more when they make mistakes because you notice them when they don't make mistakes, right? Like, I feel like the NHL always seems to want to trend a lot of the time towards safety, right? If you're a player who is basic and safe and simple and just makes your pass and just gets to your spot and just goes to the net and just does this and just does chip and chases and whatever, you get a job. If that's how you want to do it, then fine. Congratulations, you're a defenseman on the Toronto Maple Leafs. But long term, like, is that a recipe for success, right? And I just don't know. At the top end of your lineup, I just don't know. And if that's what you want out of your talented young players, then you're barking up the wrong tree, in my opinion. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not down on Mitchkov. I mean, look, it's a new coach. It's a new environment. It's whatever. I just look at the Flyers, and I was a little surprised in the first place when they signed Talkett up to be coach, because it just felt like a weird choice and a weird fit. And the Flyers are making some good decisions here and there, and like this one, we'll see where it goes. It's not over, obviously, but might be a bit of an adjustment period, I suppose. I guess that's what you have to hope for. Thoughts on Frank Nazar's start to the season? I mean, he's been great. I saw Chicago earlier on in the year. I haven't seen them in a bit, but I mean, he looks great. Like, the thing about Frank Nazar is he's one of those guys where when he was draft eligible, it's like, I can see why a team would draft him really high. I thought he would go higher than he did because he's just really smart. Like, everything about his game is just really straightforward and calculated, and he's not really like deficient anywhere. Like, I felt like Nazar was always going to be one of these guys where it's like this raw package of just smarts and understanding and energy and all around ability that, like, the better he develops, the better he will be. Like a bit of a Jack Hextall this year type vibe where it's like, I don't think that you're a huge difference maker, but like you could be with some time. And I feel like over time, Frank Nazar has just gotten better and better and better. And I'm really excited to see what he does this year. I mean, I've already really liked what he's seen. I don't know what his current pace is, so I'm going to just Google it. Because I'm assuming because the question is framed that way, the answer is probably no. He's a point a game. Like, I don't think he's going to be that far off that, like I feel like a 60, 70, 75 point season is not out of the realm of possibility, especially because he's playing, upwards of 20 minutes most games. So for me, I look at him as a guy that like just gets it and can really elevate the guys around him, which I think is really valuable. And he's developed really well. He's come a long ways. I remember watching him last year with Rockford and thinking he was just a really smart hockey player. And you can make that work, right? With time and experience and enough reps on the ice at the pro level. Like, if you're like that, you can find a way to make it work one way or the other, and it's another thing too, is like, he kind of, in order to do that, I feel like a lot of the times you have to be the type of person who's willing to like listen and grow and whatever, be developed, right? And be coached. And that's the part of all of this that I don't get as much insight into in terms of the person that you're looking at in terms of the athlete and like how and I know that that's very important, right? So I'm sure Chicago saw something like that in him, as they do, I'm sure, with a lot of other players they draft, just like every other team thinks they do. So yeah, I'm really happy with how he's been playing. I don't know about like how many points is he going to score this year, but like a really good core member of the Blackhawks for the time being, I think, is not out of the realm of possibility, and I don't think that was ever in dispute. What? You ready to have fun scouting Cale Nickel? Who is that? I don't know who that is. Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, sure. That's a better question for Joel Henderson. Yeah. I don't 2012. This guy was born 3 months before I graduated university. That's not fun. That's no good. I'm going to forget about that name in about 2 days. So I guess the answer to your question is no. We got plenty of time to go before then. How do you compare Justin Carbonneau to current NHL player Zach Bjorck? I think there are some similarities there. I think with from what I remember of Bjorck when he was draft eligible, I wasn't a huge fan of him. He's the type of player that I just don't value as much as he was valued in the draft. And like, you know, he's kind of become what I thought he could be if he made the NHL. Like, the thing I didn't really like about him was that he was kind of like not a very active player. He kind of was just, it was like a discount Lafreniere type situation where guys would get him the puck, he'd have a bit of speed, he'd get into the offensive zone and pop one on net or make a little play. And, you know, it just didn't add up enough in my mind where I'm going, this is a first round top 6 offensive player that I trust to make the NHL. I also didn't really like how he played defensively. Like, it was a little bit almost reckless and at times like dangerous. Like, I saw him, you know, chicken winging a little bit too much, you know, like it was often enough where I'm like, I feel like that might be part of this kid's game where he's kind of, you know, like that Ivan Ryabkin style, like just being a bit of a pesky guy. And maybe I just saw that in my sample of games. I don't know. But I don't know. With Bjorck, I mean, he's definitely come quite a ways. I've watched him with Montreal, and like, look, the thing about Montreal too is like I see him similarly to like I saw Joshua Waugh, and I remember Montreal fans telling me Joshua Waugh was going to be unbelievable, and that, you know, I'm an idiot for not thinking he was great. But like that type of player needs the right surroundings to make it work. And I think Bjorck is from what I saw of him last year, I think he's just like a more NHL coded version of what Montreal fans think Joshua Waugh is. Like, there's skill and like there's really good finishing ability. I saw that goal he scored the other day, like just a bullet of a shot. Was it last night or something? Just a bullet of a slap shot. Like, you can see how the puck would go in the net when he's involved. But again, like, it goes back to overall value on an NHL ice surface, and clearly scoring goals is valuable. I'm not saying it's not, but like Carbonneau Carbonneau is more of a playmaker. I think like he can shoot and he's definitely scoring a lot of goals, but in the data that I had, he was funneling a lot of pucks towards the net right last year. And it's similar, like the defensive game was a work in progress, I think, to say the least, with Carbonneau. Very sort of absent off the puck, you know, very sort of slow to react in his own end. Doesn't really have that like quickness that you really want to see, but the offensive tools are undeniable. So I don't know. I see echoes there. I think Carbonneau maybe has a little bit more of a like puck control, like a sense of puck control and skill than I think Bjorck did at this age, whereas Bjorck is a maybe better north-south bound player. You know, just getting up the ice is a little bit easier for him. But I can see where you're coming from. Who projects better? Well, I mean, the safe answer is Zach Bjorck because he's playing in the NHL, and you know. But I would say Bjorck either way, right? Like I think I think Carbonneau has a lot of hills to climb to get there. I mean, it's kind of crazy that St. Louis drafted him after drafting Bjorck a couple years ago, because there is a bit of an echo there in terms of style of play. So maybe they're, you know, trying to just get offense. They're just drafting for offense, and I get it. I think with the right surroundings, they both could be quite successful, and you're seeing that with Bjorck, and I think in a couple years you'll see that with Carbonneau. Any overagers to keep an eye on for the 2026 draft? Yeah, I mean, I have a few here. Let me see. Ivan Fomin is still ripping in Russia. I'm just gonna throw that out there. He's on pace for a 90-point season in the Russian Junior League this year, which, I mean, he's got 12 goals in 14 games, and he's up to 20 points this year, 54% involvement in his team's offense. Like, I don't know, man. That kid, I thought about throwing a 7th round pick at him last year. I might think about it again. Like, that kid can ball out, and I've seen a bit of him this year, and he looks gross. And he's a re-entry. He's an 06 actually, but like he's a late 06. I still have Galvas on my list. I still have Hunanen on my list. Philippe Veilleux, I still have on my list from last year. Dakota Rayon Mullen has been having a great year. He's still on my list. I'm surprised he didn't get drafted, but that's a guy that's on my list, and I'll probably track some games of him because he's had such an interesting season. I still like Longvard in Sweden. I still like Sundqvist. I think Egor Barabanov, the guy in Saginaw, he's looking pretty good too. I've seen a bit of him. He might be a guy that might end up on my list towards the more I see him. I haven't seen enough, but he might end up there. Who else? Like, who's got points? Who's scoring? Let's see. Oh, I need to resort my spreadsheet here. Bear with me for a moment. Okay. What? Why you do this? Yeah, whatever. Let's just do that. We'll sort by score and just look. Yeah, Matthias von Hanen is also performing really well. I haven't seen too much of him, but like, it doesn't surprise me he's able to score at the junior level. Who else? It's a good question. Marcus Kiersey's over a point a game. I've always liked him. Mark Danacek. I liked him when I watched Louis-François Bélanger in Newfoundland. Mark Danacek is a guy that I really liked, and I want to check in on him. Danny Clares is another one that I've liked. I noted him a few times last year with Muskegon, and I jotted him down because the skating ability was ridiculous. Like, he kind of reminded me a little bit of how I felt about Eric Polkamp when he was a first-time draft eligible, where I'm like, there's something here, but I don't know if he's putting it all together for a guy his size that really could project to an NHL job. And while I still kind of feel that way about Polkamp long-term, he is worth a pick. And Danny Clares is a guy that whenever I've seen Muskegon this year, I'm like, who's that guy? And it's usually him breaking the puck out from his own net, from his own end. So he's another one I've liked. Danacek for sure is one that I've picked up on a few times. I wouldn't draft him, but Cooper Dennis sure is fun. Yeah, I don't know. There's a good chunk of them. There's some good ones. There's also, isn't there a goalie? I feel like I've written down a goalie from last year that's worth taking a peek at. But nobody cares about goaltenders, right? Who cares? Brady Martin has left the island. Yeah, the NHL. 3 rookies remain from the 25 NHL draft class. Kindle, Misa, Schaefer. Who will be the next to leave the island on NHL Survivor? I think it's going to be Kindle. I mean, the fact that Kindle's still there is great. But I doubt, I don't know. Is San Jose really going to send Misa back to Saginaw? I mean, I guess if they lose another 17 straight games, like, I don't know. Like, this is the thing. Like, I thought Misa would be a good college kid, like a guy you send to college, but it's too late for that. So I don't know what they're going to do about that. Ben Kindle, I feel like probably should go back to the WHL. I would really like to see that. But I thought I did watch him in the NHL, and I don't think he's looked like out of place, but I don't think he's comfortable. And I feel like you might need to give him some time, right? Unless Pittsburgh's strategy is let's just play the kids and see what they can do. But I wouldn't bet on that, and I wouldn't do that if I were them with a guy like Kindle. I think he's a guy that the longer you sort of wait, the better off you're going to be. Early Calder battle between Schaefer and Demidov. Whose start has been more impressive to you? Honestly, I don't know. That like Ivan Demidov has had some moments where you just kind of like go, wow. Like, wow. What was that? Like, what was that? But Matthew Schaefer has had some shifts where you just go, like, the thing about Matthew Schaefer that has blown my mind, and I know we've talked about him a lot, but it's because he's so dang good. But like there have been moments watching him where I go, okay, he's being really aggressive here. He's really jumping into the rush. He's really doing this. He's really doing that. And then he leaves the frame of the camera because he went around behind the net in the offensive zone or something, or just he left the frame and the puck starts coming the other way. And I'm going, uh-oh. But then there's Schaefer, like back in position relative, like his ability to just cover ice and go with the flow at the NHL level is ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous. I think Demidov is going to have the advantage because I think a lot more people are going to see a lot more of Demidov over the course of the season than Schaefer. Like, how many highlights have you seen of Demidov already this season? Scoring goals, setting them up, doing this, doing that. Every time he breathes, a Montreal Canadiens fan is going to post a GIF of him on Twitter. Whereas Matthew Schaefer, like, I think he's right there with him, but I just don't see the same momentum. Unless he's really productive, unless Demidov tails off, unless something, or he has some unbelievable highlights that people post on the internet. Like I'm a believer that the voting for these awards is skewed towards surface level stuff. Who's in front of their eyeballs the most, right? That's just how I feel like a lot of this happens because it's hard to avoid. But Demidov, I feel like still has an edge, and every single time I feel like Schaefer's really pushing him, it's possible. I see Demidov do something where I'm going, okay, like, yeah, this is tough. But between the two of them, I think the only one otherwise I could consider is Zeev Buium. But like, I don't think he's there yet. But boy, Demidov has been something. Do you think that Nick Lardis, Oliver Moore, and Frank Nazar all will become the best young core in the league? Best young core in the league is subjective, right? I love Oliver Moore. I think Nick Lardis is a long shot for like big NHL success. Like I know he's scoring in the AHL, but it's his first month there, right? And he is small. He plays small. He's more finishing oriented. He's another one where you're going to need to surround him with guys. Like if you put him on a power play unit and on your third line or second line and insulate him with 2 play drivers or something, I guess I could see that working. But unless he's taken a huge step in the offseason, like it doesn't surprise me. He's scoring, right? Like that was never a doubt that he can put the puck in the net, right? Or he can do stuff in the offensive zone. It's just all around at the NHL level might be a bit much. Oliver Moore, though, I mean, I love. And also, don't forget, you also have Connor Bedard. So, like, they do have a very good young group of players. It's great. I just don't know about best in the league. I mean, San Jose has amassed a lot of really good young players over the last few years. It's hard not to when you're that brutal. But nonetheless, they're the Chicago Blackhawks have plenty to play around with. I don't know about best in the league, but considering how often they've drafted and how bad they've been, you kind of hope that they have one of the best young cores in the league, right? like that's, if you didn't, then it would be problematic, right? Charlie, what do we do? Charlie Serrato. Sorry for the stream hiccup. Charlie Serrato's been on another level. Is he for real? I think we have enough of a sample size. He's putting. Well, I don't know about sample size because Penn State, like we talked about this early in the year, right? Like the expectation for me was that Gavin McKenna would have a huge October because the schedule for Penn State is very soft. Like they're playing not great NCAA teams. That said, Serrato has looked very, very good, right? Like Serrato's a guy that I regret not buying when I really liked him a few years ago and just sticking to it. But I felt like he was just too small and didn't have the evasiveness and the skill level to project. But he's certainly come a long ways in the last few years, and he's in a really good system to do it. Again, though, like with college hockey, I am always very, 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 very hesitant to get too excited about college players, right? Like it's a great level. It got better, this year. But again, like the NHL is a different, like the way I see it, the NHL is like a different sport almost. Like it's just different. and almost every other league, I think every other league is just more, it's just, they're different in different ways, but the NHL, it's just not like the level of talent is so high, and how strong these guys are, and how long they've been, like these guys who have been in the NHL for 5, 10, even 15 years, maybe, like that is a different universe to be in, right? So a lot of, and like look at all the college guys who have driven a ton of hype over the years, right? Like it's not always a 1-to-1 of like this to this to this. But that said, I know Carolina loves Charlie Serrato, and like Charlie Serrato's been great, right? Like I'm not saying he hasn't, but soft schedule this month, I don't think you can say like we've hit right. Like again, it's October 23rd, you know, and he's also going to be 21 next year, or is he? No, he's going to be 21 next year. Like I'm not saying to, you know, if you're enjoying it, I'm not going to yuck your yum, right? But this is just my standpoint on it. Speaking of Austria, have you checked out Paul Sinchnig? That is a name I remember. Is he on that team? Paul Sinchnig? No, he's not. Okay, so someone else I was looking at. Oh, this guy. I have seen him. I saw him at the World Juniors last year. I mean, I didn't think he was like incredible. But probably the best player to come out of Austria in the last few years, you know, like I thought he was good for a 15-year-old at the under-20s last year, which is saying a lot. I can't say I've seen him this year. I can't say I've seen him this year, but I'll check him out, even though he's for next year. You know, I'm always interested in that kind of thing. And I'm a sucker for Central European, Eastern European random guys. I'm all for it, from random places. Shout out Doman Christoph Schongoth from Hungary. I'm ready to see Tynan Lawrence back getting. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect if Tynan Lawrence is 100% out the gate, that would be great. I'm hoping for that too, but I'm not gonna hold my breath here because we'll see. It's a bit into the season, but I don't know. Either way, I'm gonna give him leeway. Like Matthew Schaefer's first couple games that I watched last year were not awesome, and then very quickly it was like, okay, he's back, we're good. And then everything was fine, and he was disgusting. So maybe we'll see the same thing out of Tynan Lawrence, but I'm very bullish on him. Is the top 30 prospects this year better than last year's as a whole? I think so. I remember at this point last year, I was pretty down on a lot of the players last year. Yeah, like towards the end of the first round last year, I had guys like LJ Mooney, where I'm like, all upside, big risk, big upside, but I'll take the chance on him. Cole McKinney was there, like Malcolm Spence, Will Moore, Sacha Boumedienne. All of these guys were just kind of like, I don't know, big risks, but big upside. Like I'd say my top 25 was varying levels of exciting. I'd say top 20 I was very excited about, definitely very excited, but this year, like looking at the guys I have in the end of the first round, like Ryan Lynn and Adam Anderson, I love. And I'm surprised Simon Katolichki is still that high. I don't really look at my own list too much or think about where guys are at this point, so it's a little surprising. But you know, I do look at this draft, and I think the top end, the top few names are all looking very, very good. And then it opens up pretty quickly. I still don't really know what to do between, I'd say, Albert Smits and Thomas Vandenberg, maybe a little sooner than that. Adam Valentini. I'm not sure what to do about that group right now, but again, it's still very, very early. I think that's a pretty big blob of guys. There are also players that I feel like will end up in the first round that I haven't really seen yet. Carson Carrolls is one. Oliver Suvanto is a guy that I feel like might end up in the first round. Adam Nemitz, you know, maybe, I don't know, but I look forward to watching a lot of these guys again, a lot more than I remember from last year, right? Like, no offense to those players, right? I want to make that clear. I'm not trying to crap all over them. I'm just saying that the vibes are different. So I am more excited about this group. I don't know about like them all being super, super high end players. We were talking about it in the Discord server today, actually. Like, I am someone pointed out that they're not sure there are a whole lot of real reliable play drivers that have played so far this year in the draft. And I think that that's fair. I think I would say like Lawrence and Hextall are really the guys that, even Villeneuve maybe are the guys that you can absolutely rely upon to like be all impact situations players that can move the game in the right direction and glue a team together, which is valuable. But in terms of like just simply raw talent, maybe Chase Reed would be part of that group, but just in terms of guys with a lot of talent and a lot of potential, I think there's a lot of those, and guys with good growth potential too. Like I think there's that as well in a lot of these guys. And there's a lot to like. I think there's a lot in this class that there is to like, especially if you look outside of Canada, like in the US. Like I think Europe has quite a few really strong players. Finland is in the middle of a great draft year. Schmitz and Suvanto and Piparinen and Verti Svensk. We watched a game of his together in the Discord server. He was silly. He was so good. And then we watched him in Liga, and he was so good. So, yeah, Finland is in the middle of a pretty good year, I think. I live in Muskegon, so I'll be seeing all his games. Good luck. Lucky you, man. I would love to be able to go to Muskegon and see some Tynan Lawrence this year. Scouching MLB Scout Future. No. Baseball scouting, man, God bless them. I don't know how they do it, and I don't even know if they know how they do it, because you look at the MLB draft, it's a crapshoot. Who knows? I mean, I don't know how it works, but I don't touch that with a 20-foot pole. Never. Would I work for a Major League Baseball team and like do some data work for them? I guess, but I don't think my data abilities are quite up to par with the sort of PhD computer science that guys are doing with enormous data sets across Major League Baseball to go, how good is this left-handed batter at hitting the curveball of a right-handed pitcher who is 6'6" or taller that our opponents will have a lot of, and if they pitch high inside, what's the probability of this player hitting the ball to the gap in right center field? And if they do that, how soon should we lead off the runner on first so that they get to second in time in case the right fielder gets to that fly ball, and yada yada? Can they tag up and all no, I am not doing that. No thanks. I'm good. No, I'm good. Let alone going, how's this 16-year-old kid in Dominican gonna look when he's 30? I don't know. Is cranberry ginger ale good? No, it's not. That's why I'm drinking it. Shaquille oatmeal. No, I'm kidding. It's very, very good. The cranberry ginger ale available for a limited time only. Shout out Canada Dry. Good stuff. Thoughts on the PWHL color schemes for Vancouver and Seattle? Ooh, I didn't know they were out. I have not been on social media like at all. I've been too glued to quantum computing over the last month, so I can't focus. PWHL, Seattle, and Vancouver. Ooh, okay. Love it. 2 thumbs up from me. Vancouver, I don't know why, but I look at that Vancouver look, and I go, something about that looks right. I don't know why. I mean, it's like I kind of expect like green or blue, black and yellow, perhaps, because that's what Vancouver does in your brain. That's the Canucks, right? But I'm glad that the PWHL kind of like thinks outside the box a lot of the time and like chooses something different. I think they do that on purpose. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's good to see. And I think for some reason, I don't know why, but this like brown and blue combo and like off-white, I'm a sucker for off-white. I think it looks great. And Seattle is more Kraken-like, I would say, but it's simpler in a good way. Like that powder blue, off-white, and dark navy. I'm all for it. I love that look. I think the Kraken have one of the best schemes in the league, and simplifying it and making it a little cleaner. Obviously, I don't think these are going to be the jerseys they wear, but like, yeah. They are inaugural jerseys. Okay. Honestly, I love the Vancouver thing with the nameplate like that. It kind of suits it. I don't know why. Seattle, I'm not so sure. Vancouver, I don't know. Something about it is really fun, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's too bad they come from sucky place that is not the center of the universe here in Toronto. Joe Iginla thoughts. I have not seen him yet. He's on my list for probably tomorrow. I've got a game of his ready to go. So Monday you can ask me and I will have more thoughts on him. But I've seen him a little bit and like I don't know. From what I've seen, I think he's fine. I don't think I was as enthralled with him as I was with Tij Iginla, but I'm willing to have my mind changed, you know? Thoughts on Alexander Nikishin so far? The kid can crank a shot. He is a hell of a shooter. I think he's been fine. Like, again, like with Nikishin, I think my thing with him was like bottom four, solid physical defenseman with maybe some questionable areas of his game, but a cannon of a shot. You can put him on a power play maybe, and he can work some magic. So that I can understand and see. So we'll see. And the Askarov aura is fading. Oh, that's too bad. Hopefully that doesn't stick. I mean, again, I think I am just done with goaltenders. You know, I think with goaltending, I haven't drafted a goaltender for team scouting at all since like 2018 or 2020 maybe. Because, well, number one, Toronto doesn't have any draft picks. And number two, I just don't really know. And there's always someone that I've seen a lot more that I believe in that's a skater that I always just want for sure. And honestly, for me, like if I was working for an NHL team, my strategy would be forget about the guys everybody talks about. Let's go find some random kid playing in Siberia who is stopping a ton of pucks. Nobody can play hockey in front of him. He's going to face 45 shots a night for the next 3 years. God only knows what happens with him. But hey, it's a 7th round pick. Who cares? Let's see what happens. Right? You never know. Like last year, Sergei Dolgov, right? I don't think he's played a game this year, but that was a guy when I watched him, I went, I don't think anybody knows who this guy is, but I would probably take a chance on him. 20-year-old goalie, but yeah, he hasn't played this year yet, which is disappointing because he was ridiculous last year. Oh well, what can you do? Did people talk about Mitchkov's height during his draft year? Same height as Viggo Bjorck. I don't remember that, but everything you hear about Viggo Bjorck is how small he is. People did talk about how small he was. I remember seeing a clip of him getting absolutely decked by Dmitry Simashev that year. And I remember tracking that game of Simashev and going, geez, that's Mitchkov? Oof. And then Simashev went before Mitchkov in the draft, which, you know, might be a little questionable. But having seen Simashev in the NHL, you can kind of see why he's a top 10 pick, in my opinion. But anyway, I mean, I think, again, with Viggo Bjorck, I think people are rightfully a little bit concerned because he is a little bit soft on the puck from what I've seen at the SHL level, but that's a tall order. That is a big ask. There are not very many players at that age that are looking comfortable in the SHL, right? Especially like Ivar Stenberg last year when he played in the SHL. He looked really solid, but I don't think he was like 100% comfortable. Even now, I don't even know if it's really the final evolution of him that we're seeing right now. I hope it isn't, but like that, then that would make sense. But I mean, look, for me, I don't really think about it that much. That's why Bjorck is in my top 10. I just tracked another game of him and I didn't feel like knocking him down. I didn't feel like knocking him up. I didn't feel like bumping him up a little bit or knocking him down. I think top 10 for me right now makes sense. Super skilled. I think his skating is way better than it was last year. You know, you see with him, a lot of it is like you see the things he needs to do more of. It's just the things, the other stuff in the offensive zone that you're going to need to see more of. He's still lagging a little bit. And that's fine, but I think the sort of give and go stuff, the off puck stuff, the defensive effort, like I think that and the skating ability, those have all come a ways since last year, and I think that's what you're gonna need to see out of him. So that kind of puts me to rest on that. Look, the B rating from Central Scouting I think is ridiculous. I think that is just way too pessimistic of a read on him. Even if I was a little bit of a downer on him coming into this year, but I've liked what I've seen. I think he's played quite well, and I think that there's a lot to bet on as he sort of matures and grows. I hope he plays more in the SHL for the rest of the year, because he's an interesting looking player. He's an interesting one. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well, Brian McAvoy. I hope you're doing well. As a Wings fan, Emmett Finney has been a huge fan. Huge surprise. Gets me thinking, is there a team Scouch late round seal? Well, let's see. Who are the late round guys that I've had recently? Well, it's not going to be Yoli Janssen, that's for sure. Ethan Cardwell was a 2020 guy. Let's see. The last couple of years, who has there been? They all suck. All these guys are terrible. I mean, Alexis Gendron is a guy that I believe in. That's a 218th overall pick for me in 2022. Daniel Niemanen was a 2024 pick for me. He got drafted in 2025, and I've liked him every time I've seen him. Ludwig Johnson, 225th in 2024. I feel pretty good about that one, and I think he legitimately has a shot. I think he's a legitimate offensive NHL player, potentially, with some time. But I've loved him, and he's been better than I expected in the National League, even now. And I said that last year about him. I'm hopeful, right? I'm obviously biased, but cross fingers. It's always a promising sign and a relieving, sign when guys that I like and would have drafted get drafted later. And they go undrafted the year I liked them, and then they get drafted later. Pumping my own tires, but I have to from time to time. It's just very nice to see that. It's like, oh, this guy I had in the seventh, I would have drafted in the 6th, 7th round is a 4th, 5th round draft pick now. So hooray. That's cool. It's a small victory, but it is a victory. How do you project Ryan Leonard? I think Ryan Leonard, like a top 9 physical goal scoring winger. Like I feel like Leonard is a good projectable puck possession offensive NHLer. I think he's more than physical enough to chip in defensively enough. But there wasn't a whole lot of like distribution skill in his game. I think he's a really good example. Like if you're a D-gen like me, if you're a person who really loves hockey, like really does, and I'm not accusing you all of not because you're watching this show, like you kind of have to be, but like studying the sport, it is really an interesting trend with guys who historically score a lot of goals and don't have many assists, right? Because I think it's very important to look into why that is. And Leonard has always been that type of player, right? And I think with him, he's a very good example of how I think that's possible because he is very sort of, I think, tunnel visioned and very sort of improvisational and very sort of physical oriented. Like he tries to bulldoze his way through things, fight his way through stuff. He's a grinder. He does all these things. He's like that Barclay Goodrow type, right? Like that Blake Coleman, that but he can shoot the puck like it's like he's a gun. He's a gunslinger with his shot. So I think that kind of separates him from those guys. But he does have that sort of like there's strength in his game, but there might also be limitations, right? And so I think he's a valuable guy. I think I would want to have him if I'm the Washington Capitals. Like I want a guy like that in my lineup. You got a Tom Wilson in the lineup too. It's like there's this like echo there. Not saying they're the same player, but like, Leonard can learn a thing or two from him, I think. So I think it's a fit and it's a match and all that stuff. I've always felt that like the hype around him is like a little bit crazy, and I think his NHL time has kind of showed a little bit of those limitations, but I have no concerns about his overall upside as like a physical, complementary, offensive, physical winger who can put the puck on the net. You can put him on a power play. Maybe he's your net front or bumper guy, and you could find some success there, and you never know where he goes from there. Tell everyone why you had a crash show conversation with me about tech companies last night. Oh my God. I crashed out hard last night. So for all, this is going to get a little bit weird, but, I have to admit I am the child of Canadian bankers. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Canadian banking system is a global jewel, so to speak. It is quite the enterprise. So I grew up in an environment where, there was this like banking environment, this, this financial world, right? I learned about budgeting when I was in high school, right? From my parents, basically, right? And so I invest my own money. And so in this quantum computing craziness of the last, year that I've been sort of quietly keeping an eye on, it hit a ridiculous point like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And I bought a bunch of put options on all of that crap for like a year and a half from now at basically zero. just betting that these things are just going to pop and these companies it's kind of fascinating to look into it, but these companies make no money. They burn through tens or hundreds of $1 million a quarter. They're, I think, getting blown out of the water in quantum computing when it comes to like the power and money that Google and IBM have. They are trying to put a man on the moon in 1910, you know, like I appreciate what you're trying to do, but they are not worth what being traded at, right? Like it's like 10, 12, 15 billion dollars. And ever since I bought those put options, it's just been right into the toilet. And then the Wall Street Journal last night, Donald Trump considering investing government money in quantum computing stocks that are on a dip. Listen, I know this is not on topic for the show, but if you read that news article, it says that they're thinking about up to or more than $10 million for these companies. $10 million. That's nothing to the federal government. To these companies, they also burn through that amount in about a month and a half. So like, what is the point here? The market cap of those companies overnight going into today, they're back up. They're up like 5-10% last I checked, even more maybe. The value of those businesses after a potential $10 million investment went up like hundreds of millions of dollars, which like makes no sense. What are you doing? Like people, it's to me, honestly, I subscribe to the conspiracy theory that Barron Trump had calls on this crap and being a kid and maybe a Wall Street Bets degen is on the track to like lose a bunch of money. So got to pump it up, get the exit liquidity, pull out your money, and then let it drop. Also, I feel like this is someone at one of these companies or a group of people at these companies knowing someone at the Wall Street Journal and going, oh, we heard, we're in talks, and planting a story or something because it doesn't seem like a real thing that's going to happen. The point is, it's a mess. I'm not panicking. I panicked for about 5 minutes, and then I thought about it and ran the numbers in my head and went, this makes no sense. This is nonsense. And these companies aren't going to be profitable anytime soon, let alone like generate revenue, right? I think the head of Google's quantum enterprise said that they would expect at the peak, they expect no more than like $100 million of revenue for this stuff. That's nothing. That maybe is a $1 billion business in terms of value. And even that is like, it's doing a lot with that $100 million. I don't know. But the point is, it's nonsense. I don't recommend anybody gets involved in this stuff. It is incredibly stupid. I don't know. That said, I think learning about investing and learning about how all of this works is very, 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 very a very important life skill, especially in this day and age. It is extremely important. And understanding what value is and understanding how your money needs to work for you. Obviously, I recognize that not everybody has access to capital. Life is tough. Life is hard. But I'm just, it's a good skill. It's an interesting thing to learn. It is crazy. It's a crazy world. It's a nutty world. But I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting world to look into and try to understand and try to think about. But yeah, that crash out, AJ, thank you for reminding me. That crash out, I think, is valid, but I'm on the other side of it now. I think I'm on the other side, so we're good. Thoughts on Oscar Hemming's situation? Yeah, that's a weird one. I asked our resident European, Mikhail Holm, about that, and he basically was like, I don't think that he can do what he thinks he's doing, like deleting his contract on a one-sided basis. I get the feeling that he's just going to end up back in Finland because unless the team just agrees to release him, which also I think is possible. The team's just like, let's just get this over with. But it seems like the parents stepped in and were like, our son's going to Canada. We're canceling the contract. Bye-bye. And the team's like, whoa. You can't just do that. Like, that's not how it works. I don't know. It's a bit of a mess. It sucks because I was curious to see Hemming. We'll see what happens with him. I imagine it'll get rectified at some point. Are you worried about Owen Beck not producing in the NHL yet? Was it a mistake not to draft him over Del Belbaluz or Newman? Okay, slow down. I mean, I never thought Beck was anything more than a third line center. I never really thought that. Del Belbaluz, I feel like I wouldn't, again, get too, like, he's a good complementary skilled offensive player. There's holes in his game. I think Beck is a more well-rounded player. I think in Montreal, they just have a lot of guys fighting over the same jobs, right? Like they've drafted so many guys that have come along to become solid players that like they're trying things out. And so I feel like with Beck, like I wouldn't be concerned, right? Like he's still young. Yanni Newman, again, like I probably would have wanted Yanni Newman out of those three because of the strength and the power and the skill and the offensive ability and like all that stuff I like about him. And I think projects to the NHL decently well. But I think everything there with those three guys will probably come out in the wash. I feel like they're all, you know, we're talking about like, are we talking 70 out of 100, 68 out of 100, 73 out of 100? Like, we're kind of nitpicking around the value of those three guys. They bring different things. I think what Beck does have is the advantage of like all around impact. It's just that he hasn't found that like results generating impact yet, right? Like he's smart, he's skilled, he's got some speed to him, he's got good traits. It's just a matter of making a difference in the NHL, which for a player like him, I think is harder to do. If you're like, I think he would like playing with a guy like Luca Del Belbaluz would help Luca Del Belbaluz do what he does really well, right? It just Del Belbaluz, I don't think would do a whole lot of heavy lifting for Owen Beck, if that makes sense, you know? So I don't know. It's basically what I'm saying is calm, is relax. And also if you're a Montreal fan, like you have plenty to cheer about, right? Like if Owen Beck doesn't work, boo-hoo. Like you've drafted a billion guys and like a lot of them are looking really interesting. You'll be okay. I think you'll be fine. You know, even if Yanni Newman goes off and Luca Del Belbaluz goes off and does good things, you're the Montreal Canadiens. You're having a good time. Any viewings of Carroll's? Not today, or not as of today. He's been on my list. I've honestly been procrastinating watching him, but I will get to him. I probably should just do it tomorrow. Iginla, Carroll's, tomorrow. That's what I'll do. Thoughts on Ilia Morozov? Interesting physical player. We just talked about Yanni Newman a little bit. I think there's a bit of that to him, like really projectable strength and resilience on the puck. Bit of skill going on there. I think Newman's a better northbound skater. He just gets up the ice a little bit better than Morozov did from what I remember at this age, but also Morozov is playing college hockey and Newman at this age was not. So time will tell, but I think he's an interesting sort of third-ish line guy. He's not in my first round, but he's not that far out of it. He's not far out of my first round. Let me just double check. I don't think he is. Yeah, he's like in my top 50, right? Like I think he's an interesting player. I think he very easily could be a 25 to 35 range player. I think he's a relatively safe projection. He's just not the type of player that I would super value, but you kind of need guys like him. So if that helps. Is there a team in the NHL that's having a bit of an outlier start? The Bolts, Kings, Wings, for example, that you could see kind of staying around where they are in the standings. I mean, let's see. I'm going to look at, I haven't seen the NHL standings in a while, so let's take a look here. Yeah. So, whoa, Tampa is not having a good time. Gee whiz. I feel like Tampa's going to be better than this. You got to hope. I don't know if that'll stick. I don't know if worst in the Eastern Conference will stick. Ottawa is down there too. Jeez. Yo, the Atlantic Division this year has been really something. I don't know about the Leafs, man. I don't know about them. The Bruins are kind of what we expected. The Senators, I'm crossing my fingers for them. I don't know. I think the Kings are the team of those that you mentioned where I've watched the Kings this year, and I think they've done a lot of damage in the offseason getting the guys that they got. Like, they swapped out, 3 of their 6 defensemen, and the guys they put in and that they're riding are not good. And like in the NHL, I think that if your team has issues with the defenseman, you're DOA. Your goalie's life is harder. Your forwards don't get the chance to play the way that they want to play. You know, look, I know you didn't ask about them, but watching the Leafs the other night against, who was it that they played? It was not the Rangers. They played the Devils. They played the Devils. They got run over. And that game is a really good example of how I see the game and why I feel like why I see the game is fundamentally a good way to do it. Because you cannot score. Toronto has offense, but you cannot score unless you get the puck into the offensive zone. And you cannot get the puck into the offensive zone if you cannot get it from your opponent in your own zone. And you cannot get it from your opponent in your own zone if you cannot skate. Like if you don't have quickness, if you don't have an energy level, if you don't have like hunger. And I feel like the Kings have a bit of that too, where it's like Cody Ceci in his own end is not going to get the job done really. You know, breaking the puck out of their end. Like Brandt Clark, remarkable offensive player. But I've always seen with him over the years, since being a draft eligible, defensive rushes, and when the puck is in his own end, he is nullified quite a bit. And again, it's why I look at a lot of defensemen and go, I don't care how much you're scoring. I don't care. Like, it's great. It's cool. But like, my goal is, how are you impacting the game? And as a defenseman, if you're not getting the puck in your own end and breaking it out with control and like driving play, it makes life so much harder for the rest of the team. And so I think teams that fall victim to that, those are the ones that I feel like are struggling. Like LA, Toronto was wild the other night. I've seen the other game I watched of them playing the Rangers. The Rangers are not a team that I would chalk up as like an incredibly good, dynamic, fast, modern NHL team. And they were skating circles around the Toronto Maple Leafs. So like, that's how I see the game. And like, that's why I look at these things. And like I look at a Vladislav Gavrikov in LA last year. I thought he was good. Like, he's big, but he can skate. He's physical, and he can make that. He's a good version of what I think NHL teams are looking for in defensemen these days. I think that's kind of the player that they're looking for. And I think the LA Kings let him go and replaced him with some guys that I think people think are like that, but are not. You know, the Edmonton Oilers, they were looking for a guy like Mattias Ekholm for years, and they kept getting guy after guy after guy after guy who just did not do that. And then they got Ekholm, and they look way better. Like, that type of thing is really important. And so I feel like with the LA Kings, that's a team where I'm like, oh, they might have taken a step back, which is not good. It's not ideal. Not ideal. The Wings, I mean, I don't know about the Red Wings being, you know, where they are at for the rest of the year. I mean, they're sixth in the conference, right? Like, I think the Wings being a playoff team is not at all out of the realm of possibility, right? You added John Gibson for one. You know, you have some really good young players who are older. Like, I've really liked Marco Kasper on that team. I mean, Emmett Finney has been a good add, and he's a great fit for what Larkin and Raymond bring to the game, I think. Is it a long-term solution? I'm not sure, but for now it works. You know, and they still have guys on the team that can play, like DeBrincat and Kane, and you know, they have a lot of stuff there where it's like, I could see them being a playoff team. I don't think it's completely unreasonable. Edvinson has been good. They have a lot going for them, right? Like, it's good. So yeah, like, middle of the conference, I think is perfectly reasonable. I don't know if they're gonna, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, the Atlantic, though, seems to be wide open, right? Ottawa's had a bad start. I think Toronto's looking really questionable. You know, the Tampa Bay Lightning are at the bottom of the conference. The Boston Bruins, bottom of the conference. Buffalo Sabres, bottom of the conference. Like, all these teams are right at the bottom. And at the top, you've got some strange ones. I don't know if it stays this way, but it's interesting. It's been interesting so far to start the year. It's a tough season so far to sort through. I've really liked Colorado. I like that. I know you didn't ask. I know that's off topic, so let's move on. Have you talked about the greatest prospect from mainland Europe yet? Is that Arthur Holstein? Or Alberta Smells? No, I don't know. Oh, is my stream cutting out? I apologize. Yeah, weird. I wonder why that is. Well, hopefully it's better. Okay, let me go back here. I did get a note that my bit rate was too low, so I don't know, but I seem to be cruising now. I don't know, maybe I had an internet my internet router barfed. That would be embarrassing. Horenko versus Tomik. I haven't seen Tomik. I have a game of his ready to go, but I really like Horenko. He was really good the game I did this week too. Thoughts on Axel Elofsson? Fun offensive zone player, but I don't think I'm gonna draft him. I think he lacks the mobility to play his style at higher levels. I think his defensive game was also really porous. I think he's leaky and his defending in his own end is a bit questionable. Like again, that quickness to chase down pucks, win races, do all those things, challenge guys along the boards. It's all, I'm not sure it's there yet. We'll see how this season goes for him. I love the offensive zone tools though, the skill and the aggressiveness. It's all really fun. He's a fun player to watch when in the offensive zone. Thoughts on Zhuravsky's start to the KHL season? He's been a lot of fun. He is a fun player to watch. He's been very, 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 very good. I am withholding judgment, but he has been very, very good. I've said it forever. Like I can see why Montreal would have drafted him in the top 20 if they had that chance. I think they said they had him at 17. I could see why they traded up and drafted him where they did. I just the risk with him for me was the overall profile. But if you just want to go crazy, which the Montreal Canadiens with some of their draft picks they seem to do, they're just like, you know what, let's just draft the most fun player we can find. Zhuravsky and Mooney. Yeah, if I had a draft class on the other end and I came out with Alexander Zhuravsky and LJ Mooney and I drafted both of those guys outside the first round, I'm going, yeah, that's a fun group of players. That's fun. And I like fun. It's good to have fun. Do you think the Habs will regret on not drafting Frank Nazar? Dude, why are we so down on the Habs, man? They're doing so well. Like, I don't think the Habs care. I mean, David Reinbacher, you can't do that, right? You can't look at David Reinbacher and go, damn, that was a mistake. Like, you got him, and I thought he looked good last year. Like, his injury luck has been 0 out of 10. That just sucks. So I don't know. There's nothing you can do. And I don't know. Montreal's fine. They're doing fine. It's all good. Anyone hyping NCAA players need to remember the buzz around Jimmy Vesey. Yeah, well, he's not the only one. Any thoughts on Braden Klimke? I don't know. I feel like he's one of these sort of undersized offensive defensemen that work in the WHL. I feel like he could be a decent college defenseman. He's a good passer, but I wonder about like the dynamic ability, the skating ability. Like it's just not passing my smell test for an offensive defenseman, but I could see him being a good college player. Like he's been fun to watch, you know, with his passing and the offensive zone, sort of stepping up and pinching in the offensive zone a bit. I haven't tracked him or anything, but I've seen him here and there, and he's fine. You know, he's fine. But I think he's one of these guys where it's like there's always going to be someone I'd rather have over him, unfortunately. Why do you think Cullen Potter is struggling this year? How do you know he's struggling? Because I've seen him a few times, and I think he looks pretty good. I'm biased, but also like, again, it's 6 games into the year, you know, like think about it this way. It's 6 games into the season or 7, whatever it is. I don't know if I would say ASU as a whole is struggling. They have not won many games this year. He is a high talent player. He's a high talent player who needs refinement. Like, I'm okay with that profile. I'd rather have the talent and refine it than try to give the kid talent. Like, that's the thing. So, patience, you know? He again, like a lot of guys this season who were drafted last year, even the year before, are not even in college hockey, and this is his second year, right? Like, Mason West is not playing this sport right now. And he was drafted ahead of Cullen Potter, and he's not going to college until after this season, I believe. So you got to let these things settle. Again, it's like me panicking about the quantum computing thing last night. It's like, oh my God, this is going up 10% overnight, like I'm going to lose my mind. And then you look at bigger picture and it's like, oh, it's going back to where it was a day ago after 7 straight days of going down 10%, right? Like you got to keep a perspective, right? And for the Flames needing him to be a star, it's like, why? You know, like the Flames have amassed a ton. It's a late first round draft pick, right? Like I think he has really high potential. I think his potential is sky high. But to me, getting him at 30 is like, well, okay, even if it doesn't work, like this is a no-brainer. Like you just wait. You just got to be patient. Because I've watched him play Penn State those first 2 games of the year, and he was catching my attention every time. You know, and again, all it takes is one game where he has a goal and 3 assists or something, right? And then it's like, oh, people are gonna go, oh, is Cullen Potter turning a corner? It's like, I don't know. It's too early. You know, it's too early. Have you been able to watch Ilia Morozov? We did that. Do you know when Tynan Lawrence is going to play again? Soon, very soon. A great year to forfeit a first-round pick. Look, if it's Ottawa, I'm assuming that means Ottawa. You got to wonder if the NHL is just going to go, you know what, you can keep your pick. They didn't do that for Arizona, but you never know. I don't know. PWHL Vancouver looks like Edmonton done right. Fair enough, fair enough. I like Edmonton's look, though. Thoughts on Lavar Gashilov? I do not like him very much. I think he is the Victor Nuchev of the season. He is the Alexander Kisakov. He is a guy. He's got some skill in tight that I liked once in a while, but in terms of pace and skating ability and speed and playmaking ability, it's just he's an MHL scorer, and I don't know against men what he's going to do. I was really underwhelmed. How low is Ryan Rubrick on your list? Second round. I also did not really have much going for him. Mid-second round. I have not seen the Ryan Rubrick that was advertised to me, and that goes back to last year. I thought he was okay at the under 18s, but just not a player who I think passes my smell test for what I really, really value. But he's in my mid-second round, and honestly, I don't know. I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like if I just wouldn't draft a guy, I'm not going to put them on my list, even if like it's 220th overall and they're still there. If I just have other guys that I like more, I'm going to lean into that, and maybe I'm wrong on that opinion, but he's pretty low. Smuggling in a topic. Oh, smuggling. From Jeff Merrick's podcast. Should the Avs and Canes honor retired numbers when wearing the old Nordiques and Whalers jerseys? That's a very good question. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I'm trying to think about it if I'm a Quebec Nordiques fan. Like, obviously, I'm putting myself in someone else's shoes, and you never are going to be 100% accurate with that. But if I'm being honest with myself and I was a Quebec Nordiques fan, my fandom probably would travel with the team, I would think. Like, just because the team moved to Colorado, Peter Forsberg is still on the team. Joe Sakic still on the team. The guys who were there when they were in town are still there. I probably would still cheer for the team, Shout out Robin Leonio, host of Locked On Mammoth now, but used to be Locked On Coyotes, and she's great. Shout out, by the way. But kept up with the team. They moved up the street a few hours. They're in Utah, but she is still working around it and following them around and doing a great job. I feel like I'd be up that alley. It would be sad. So for me, it's like I feel like then you should honor it because your history is still in that other location. And I think for Carolina, I would say the same thing. Hartford losing a team sucked back when it happened. I remember when it happened. And I feel like, especially because there are still echoes of the really good times for Hartford in the NHL. Ron Francis is still kicking around and is a name everywhere. And he was the Hartford Whalers for a long time, really, right? At least to my memory. I don't know. I would honor it personally. I could see why you wouldn't, but I would. I think it's now it's tricky with Arizona because, never mind. Will you be doing your monthly Calder Power Rankings, and can we get an impromptu one right now? Yeah, we are going to do that. Probably next month. We're going to be ramping up content, doing some other stuff too. But for the first time this year, looking at NHL rookie scoring, let's just filter this. I honestly have lost track. I've been too busy with draft stuff, but let's see. From what I've seen, I mean, Schaefer, I'd probably say Schaefer, Demidov, Booyam, Seneca, maybe Nikishin. I've liked Oliver Kapanen too with Montreal. Beckett Seneca. Did I say Beckett Seneca? He's had some nice moments as well. I don't know. But definitely Schaefer, Demidov, and probably Booyam. I have yet to see Chase Reed this year. Is he still Chase Reeding? I don't know what that means, but I really liked him in the game that I saw. I really, 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 really liked him. And then the game I tracked, I liked him even more. So he's pretty high on the list, obviously. Number 10. Kyle Heeger. Yeah, I watched him last year with Shattuck and liked him. I feel similar to him as I did with Klimke. The question earlier about Braden Klimke. Anyway, like, interesting offensive defenseman who I think could make it work in the WHL, but at higher levels, I'm questionable. Like a college defenseman I could see there. You know, he's dynamic. He's got some skill, but the skating ability for a guy like him, I think, needs to be super, super high end, and I'm not sure it's there, but I like him. I have him on the list to look at later, but yes, I like him. McKenna fourth, clickbait or what? No, it's not clickbait. This is genuine. I mean, he's in my top tier of the draft this year, but that is where he is. I've had it that way since July. Pips did me dirty today. Yo, today's Pips puzzle was brutal. I gave up. I never mind. That's going to be TMI, but like I ran out of time to do it. And I just gave up because they've been on a roll recently with like impossible puzzles to do quickly. Like it is almost becoming like the daily crossword for New York Times, where it's like, what, are you going to expect me as a guy in my mid-30s with an entrepreneurial lifestyle just sit on the couch and do this for an hour? You think I'm going to do that? You think you fell out of a coconut tree? No. What the Kings are doing with their own team is the Mark Bergevin joining effect. Oh, well. Do you think Schaefer's play exceeds even the highest of expectations one could have had so far? I mean, yes, I think so. Anything stand out besides his skating? I mean, the cojones on the kid. Like, the offensive zone daringness for a barely 18-year-old kid, like the audacity to do that, and the speed that he has at the NHL level, like the speed he has and how comfortable he looks is stupid. It's stupid. Way beyond my expectations. I thought he'd be like a second pair, sheltered minutes guy who you put on the power play and he's fun to watch. Maybe some gaps, but he's fun to watch and very impressive, but like not there yet. I don't know. We talked about him on Monday and he is very quickly rising up the power rankings of quality defensemen in the NHL, I think. We're going to have McKenna not at one must be clickbait for the next 2 months. I mean, maybe, but, you know, I don't know. I don't like talking about Gavin McKenna so much, but like, I don't know. I feel pretty confident in my read, and I feel pretty confident in my standpoint. So haters gonna hate, you know. Haters gonna hate. Good things happen when you play Jacob Bernard Docker over Travis Hamonic. That's true. That is a fact in 2025. Okay, so yeah, the stream's been fine. Okay, yeah, weird. I got a notification about that. I guess my I don't even know who my ISP is. Oxio. I use Oxio. Shout out Oxio, by the way, funding my enterprise. Again, if you're looking for a person to endorse you, I'm more than happy. You sent me the Amazon Eero router, and it works just great. As far as I know, you know, my neighbors might be, you know, stealing it or something, but I don't think so. Maybe it's a hackable router. I don't know. I don't know how you computer science people do things anymore. I don't know how you do, but yeah, good. Glad it's been fine. Yeah, so Stenberg, second in production on the best team in the SHL. I think a lot of it is like secondary assists and power play stuff, but I mean, Stenberg is really good. Like, Stenberg is a very, very, very good player. Like, having him at 6 on my list is regrettable. Like, I look at it and I'm like, I don't like that. But only really because guys 1 through 6, I'm like, I don't know what to do with these guys yet. Like, I'm not certain about any of these guys being the best one, let alone who goes at the bottom. But Stenberg, I think, is looking very comfortable in the SHL. I think Stenberg is, I'm just realizing that the light above my head is slowly dying. I replaced the batteries on it twice looking for charged batteries. I guess I was wrong. Keep your batteries charged, kids. That goes well beyond just batteries, sleep, get some sleep. Take it from me, someone who is chronically sleep deprived and hopelessly degenerated. Take it from me. Sleep is good. You should probably get some. I always try to get more and I fail every day. But yeah, so Stenberg is good. Like I think the big thing to remember is like a lot of it is the things that I really like about him are when he doesn't have the puck. Like, he is a really good skater, really fluid, gets around the ice really well. And what I love about him is the chaos skill that he's got. Like, the ability to navigate through traffic. I agree. Like, the things that he doesn't get rewarded for on the score sheet have been more impressive. Knocking pucks down, dangling through a couple of feet, working his way into space, doing so at high and low paces of play. Like, there's a lot of things he does that are really, 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 really good. So yeah, I'm not surprised that he is productive because, generally he's doing things that are moving things in the right direction. But the things that like said in the chat, like, I don't think the things that he does are really the reason that he's so highly touted. It's, if anything, it's the other stuff. But yes, very impressive player, very good year. Thoughts on Dupont's slow start? Yikes. Yeah, the damn puck protection with Stenberg. Yeah, that's the special thing about him, and that's very important. Yeah, so Dupont. Look, I love Landon Dupont, and we've had the joy and pleasure of interviewing him on this channel, and he was great. And he is a guy who is mature beyond his years, skilled beyond his years. My thing with him is every time I see him, he is a gunslinger. Like, this is a guy who is doing stretch passes. I see a lot of like Quinn Hughes in him. And I'll say this, right? Like, he's not draft eligible until next year anyway. So like, being worried and like really concerned before the necessary moment to like really dig into him and analyze him is kind of meaningless. But I remember watching him at the Hlinka tournament and thinking, he's on the same team as a guy like Keaton Verhoff, and he's not really standing out like you would think a generational defenseman would, right? And I think that that's because Dupont is, while very mobile and when skating forwards and laterally and shifty with the puck and playing with the puck and doing all those things, he is elite. Like, those things are great with his game. But, Everett as a whole, I think they've lost some guys. They are not the exact same quality team, I think, as they were last year. So there also might be an adjustment period, but like, there are limitations in his game. I think that's not like crazy to point out. I was actually talking to Joel Henderson about this the other day, because he's been watching Landon Dupont since he was like 6, and he said, like, yeah, like, similar to McKenna, right? Like, it's the same thing with McKenna. There are things that they do that are way beyond everybody else, right? Like, just way beyond it. It's just that over time, the rounding out of a game is more and more important. And when you kind of still see the same gaps and holes, you kind of start to go, okay, like, it's still fine. He's a great player, but is there something to look at, something to examine, something to improve? And with Dupont, the defensive game, I think, in his own end and defensive rushes too, I think, are a little bit sketchy with him. just in terms of tracking play, skating backwards and laterally and all that stuff. When he's got the puck, though, geez Louise, he is a good player. Similar to, just for context, though, like I was talking to Dylan Griffin the other day, friend of the show, noted non-Russian Russian. And he was like, have you seen much of Yegor Pravalov? Or is it? No, not Yegor Pravalov. Oh my God. Nazar Pravalov. Have you seen much of him? And I was like, no, he wasn't at the Gold Star Showcase team. So I didn't see him play with that team. And I was watching him. He's an 09 from Russia. 6'4", 210 pounds, and skates really, really well. Crushes guys. Wicked skill. I think it's going to be interesting next year. I think it's going to be very interesting. But that said, Landon Dupont is still remarkably talented. Again, like, you have to remember, it is October. Like, he could go on a 10-game scoring streak where he's got 22 points. And I'd go, yeah, that makes sense. And then you look at it and you're like, wow, he really sorted it out, right? Like, similar to the Cullen Potter conversation, right? Like, guys don't just fall off the face of the planet in the matter of 3 games, 4 games, 5 games. Like, that's not, you got to zoom out. Patience and zoom out. Patience and zoom out. Patience and zoom out. Patience and zoom out sounds like a hockey player from like the middle of Switzerland or Hungary or something. Yeah, thoughts on Ethan Wittenbach? Ooh, that's a fun one. So, yeah, I mean, Wittenbach is another one of these guys who we talked about him like earlier, like a Zach Belduke type, Justin Carbonneau type, where there are definitely holes in his game, but the ability to score is definitely there. The skill level with Wittenbach is really good. His finishing ability, his shot's really good. Like, I liked him. He was on my watch list last year. I didn't see enough of him to like really get behind him, but I've been watching him since he was 15, 16, and he's good. Like, he's a good player. Again, I think his game leans more offensively, and that's fine. But yeah, I like him. And the fact that he's had a good start to his college career, like, I'm a little surprised, but like, again, like, him scoring is, I think, totally fine. It makes sense. Any thoughts on Cooper Williams? Another smart player. Like, I don't mind Cooper Williams. I think he's smart. And again, like, you can build on that, but I think he does have quite a ways to go to like match some of the better players in this draft. Like, Williams is in my second round right now, I think. Early third, late second tier kind of thing. Like, I again love the smarts. His passing timing is really good. He makes good reads in the offensive zone, gets pucks out in front well enough. It's just, I wonder about like just how much of an impact he'll have at higher levels based on how he plays, but he's, to me, a good development case. Like, he strikes me as a guy who, if he interviews really well and, he develops quite a bit this season, I think he could grow a lot in his game. He's a good player. Which company are you going long on in quantum computing? None of them. I bought put options on them. And I did only 2. I picked 2. I did Rigetti and D-Wave. D-Wave because I think they're a scam. Like, they've been around forever and they still don't really have a product that does anything really. And they've made $0 and they're burning cash. And Rigetti, I did Rigetti because the CEO came out and was like, this shouldn't be happening. You guys are nuts. Like, we're going to just issue shares and get the money because it would help our research, but this is crazy. And he's right. Because he said they're not a company dedicated to bringing something marketable to the market, right? Like, their goals are more research oriented and like scientifically oriented. And I imagine eventually they get bought out by an IBM or a Google or something when they have some kind of a breakthrough, because they're not marketing themselves as a company that's going to make a lot of money. but people are pricing it as if it's a company that's going to make more money than like Toyota, which I'll take the down on that any day. And again, like based on how options markets work, it's probably not a good idea to do that now. Maybe, I mean, if you want, but options markets are sketchy, so be careful. But yeah, they're trash. They're garbage, and they're certainly not worth billions and billions of dollars, because there's a lot of companies out there worth billions and billions of dollars that are making billions and billions of dollars that are somehow comparable to these companies. And I get buying future growth. I get buying for future valuations. You're hoping that the company reaches the valuation, in terms of finance that you think they can reach. But it's not a good pattern. It's not a good pattern. And there was really no news to really point to go, okay, this company is going to be worth a cajillion. Anyway, let's move on. I was looking at your old scouting report on Caden Gooley. Do you think he went above your expectations? Yes and no. I think I undersold the value of what he brought, if that makes sense. Like if you go and watch that scouting report, for me, it's like I was pretty bang on about just how dang good he was defensively. Like Caden Gooley, the number of I feel like a lot of my analysis, like I should trust. I could probably go without tracking data at all and just sort guys on a list based on the number of clips I have saved of them per game tracked. Like Caden Gooley, if I remember correctly, I could look, but I don't want to go into my archive right now. It's going to take time. But like I'm pretty sure Caden Gooley had like 36 clips that I labeled get, which to me is like anytime there's a defensive play or a forechecking play or something like that, and it's notable for one reason or another, I clip it. Caden Gooley was just a machine, entry denial machine. Everything he did, the stick skill and the physical skill were all there. And I undervalued that, right? I made up for it, I think, with a guy like Dmitry Simashev, who I think showcases very similar traits to Caden Gooley, except I think I liked him more than I liked Caden Gooley. And I did like Caden Gooley. I just felt like his profile was limited and his offensive game was a little bit questionable. And I think that's fair to still say about his game this season. But he's an effective NHL defenseman, right? Like that's the thing, right? Like to me, I think of an area of improvement that I've been wrestling with and trying to refine over the years is like weighing things that might, like guys who are definitely very special in a certain area and other areas that are more like attractive, maybe they're a bit questionable. And I don't know. It's also pretty rare now looking back on it. I mean, this was 5 years ago, going on 6. Like, I think it's very rare to come across a defensive defenseman like that who is that well refined and that projectable and that solid at that age. Like, I'm looking at my list this year, like, I wouldn't put Verhoff in that category. He's not bad, but I wouldn't put him in that category. I love Albert Smits. I wouldn't put him in that category. Xavier Villeneuve is just not that type of player. Chase Reed might be that. Like, Chase Reed might be pretty close-ish. I think he could be. Juho Piparinen could be in that category. But there's not. William Håkansson might be in that category. But I don't buy it as much as like a Simashev and a Gooley. It's just pretty rare because it's a hard thing to do, especially because it requires a lot of mobility, like side-to-side mobility and backward skating and pivoting, like pivots. Pivots on a defenseman can make or break you, especially in the NHL. So to me, I think that's a reasonable outlook on Gooley. I think I just was underselling him because I wanted like a more complete player. But he was very valuable in the areas where he was very valuable. Is Stankoven better than your boy Stankoven? Matvei Stankoven, you're a Steelheads fan. He's the greatest player to ever touch the ice. He was good. We watched him. I think it was just AJ and I, but we watched a game of him, and he was pretty good. Like, again, I think he could be a guy that scores a lot in the CHL. He could be a really good OHL scorer, and I'm just not sure about NHL. He could be a mid-late round pick. I have him on my list as like a third, I think. And that to me generally is like a maybe late round long shot swing. Because I like what he does. He's a center who I think gets up and down the ice really well. He's got some skill. I just don't know if it's like enough to be something in the NHL. Like, is he a top 6 forward in the NHL? I don't know. Is he a bottom 6 guy in the NHL? I don't know. Even on a team that I would build, not so sure about that, but I would take him on my OHL team for sure. Have you seen the 2027 guy yet? Probably not. I'm busy with 2026. Who are the top transition drivers this year, aside from the GOATs, Svensk and Holstein? Holstein? Yeah, I mean, Svensk was ridiculous. Well, let's take a look here. Let's see. I mean, I don't have that much data on these guys, but let's just see. Who shows up as really highly involved offensive transition players that have a lot of success in ways that make sense? Elton Hermanson, that makes sense. Nicholas Aram Olsen might make sense. Lars Steiner, I think, makes sense. Jonas Lagerberg-Hohen makes sense. Ethan Belchetz, I'll see if that holds. Pierce Mbouyi makes sense. Alex Command makes sense. Chase Reed has been really good in that area. Mathis Preston, I think Mathis Preston's a good one. He had a 94% completion rate in the one game I did, so there you go. Justin Carbonneau's stats in 68 games. 94 goals, 30. I think it's going to happen. I think it happens. A plus 60? Yeah. Do you compare Wittenbach to Coronado? They seem kind of similar. I see where you're coming from on that. I'm not sure that Wittenbach has the sort of energy level that a Coronado has. Like, Coronado always struck me as like a transition driver and like a very aggressive player. I don't know if that's what he is in Calgary. I haven't seen a ton of them lately and haven't seen a ton of him with them. But that's kind of what he was with Chicago. Excuse me. But I think he's a good. I think that's. I see where you're coming from, though. I could see where you're coming from, and I think Calgary is kind of amassing guys like that. I mean, Wittenbach is just another one of the high upside, skill first guys that they've drafted over the last couple of years, and I think they're just kind of going, we'll see if it works. Let's try this high octane offensive team and see where it goes. Like one day, the idea of Ethan Wittenbach on a wing with Cullen Potter or something is like to me a no brainer. Thoughts on Henry Muse? Very, very good. Like, Muse is one of those guys where it's like, I don't really care how much he scores because I think the NHL upside is still a bit questionable. But I think he's come a long ways. Like, I think the skating ability with him has really come a long ways since I remember him being drafted. Like, he was very much a skill first, aggressive guy at that age. And he's kind of developed a good set of feet under him, like a much better set of feet under him than I remember, which is kind of a make or break thing for a guy like that. So for him, he was a good swing to take where they took him, I think. Especially, I think he was their fourth guy they drafted or something like that. Third or fourth guy they drafted. It makes sense. I think he's coming along. I'm going to be patient. How do you feel about Pierce Mbouyi's upside? Really good. I think he's a good top 9 projection. That said, he's not the biggest guy in the world, and he plays a big man's game. And I get the feeling that NHL teams are looking at guys who are not 6'4" and go, yeah, he might forecheck a lot and be insane and physical and have some skill and whatever, but like it's not going to work, so we're not going to play him. I feel like that's a thing in the NHL a lot of the time, depending on the team, not universally. So I think it's really going to depend on the team that drafts him. I think it's entirely possible that a team that drafts him is going to go, I can't believe this guy was available. And that in that case, they're going to go that you can look at that promisingly because that's the right way to look at it. But if a team drafts him 100th and they're just like, meh, we don't think he's going to work out, but whatever, then I think you're not in the right spot. But because I think he's a guy that if you draft him in the second or third round and that's where he is, like I think I'm psyched. Like, I think you're psyched. Has Tyler Hopkins impressed you this season? I've seen a bit and I don't know. He's always been just a solid, smart dude. Never really blew me away. Never really made a huge difference to me. I don't know. I don't know. Tyler, what do you think of the upside for Trevor Hoskin? He's a wild card. I liked him when they drafted him. I was surprised he got picked, but I pleasantly was surprised. I say patience, but again, similar to Wittenbach. It's a similar read to me as Wittenbach. Like the scoring and the offensive ability is there. It always has been. It's just a matter of the physicality and the intensity at higher levels that's going to be a question mark. Like, I like them both though. Like again, those are the types of players that I want in a draft. You know, it's just I want them and I bet on them long term. You know, figuring it out because the talent is there, the scoring ability is there, and the things that are there are I think projectable. It's just a matter of like the skating and the pace and the energy of their game and dealing with the physicality of the NHL. Like that's really it. How will you celebrate if the Blue Jays manage to win the World Series? I'm hitting the streets, man. I'm going to the city if I'm not already there. It's gonna happen. I mean, if the Blue Jays are gonna win the World Series, it's gonna happen. I refuse. I refuse to be scared. I ain't scared of the LA Dodgers. I am scared of Shohei Ohtani, but I'm not scared of the Dodgers. I'm not. Maybe I should be, but I don't care. That's the benefit of being a bandwagon fan. I couldn't care less. They could have won all 162 games this year. The Blue Jays are going to sweep them. It's going to happen, and I'm gonna have a great time. I'm gonna party. When the Raptors won, I was in my apartment. I used to live in the city, and I was in my apartment, and the party really was on everybody's balconies. Everybody was out on their balcony just having a laugh, shooting off fireworks off their balconies and stuff. It was fun. There's a not safe for work story from that evening that I can't say on the internet, but I'm happy to do so in the Discord server that someone yelled out their apartment. Oh wait, never mind. That was a different time. Different balcony party in those days, but still the Raptors winning was a great time. I hope the Blue Jays do it. I can't wait. Who was the prospect who you thought was certain as a guy will be a star in the NHL draft that let you down? I mean, his name comes up every show, and I'm sure that's partially why you asked this, but I don't know. I think Fabian Liesel's worst enemy is himself at this point. Like I so talented, and I just don't know if his head is on straight to get there. I guess it's not over though, right? Like he's had a good start with Providence. You know, maybe he had a kick in the butt moment and now his light bulbs are going off the right way. It's not over, but that kid at 17 was unbelievably talented. It's just the refinements are pivotal in a guy like that, and they're just not there yet, I don't think, but still so talented. Other than that, like, there's a lot of guys that I'm not willing to give up on just yet. There are guys I'm not willing to give up on just yet, like Gleb Trikozov. Last year, he was like a fourth liner in the AHL at 19 years old or whatever, and like, I don't know. And then he got hurt and missed a whole bunch of the season, and like, I don't know. Because again, in the summer, I went back and looked at what I pulled of Gleb Trikozov at that age, and he was fantastic. It's not like I watched it, and sometimes I'll go watch video on guys I had ranked pretty high and go, ugh. Like Simon Robertson was one where I went back and watched, and I went, yeah, maybe I was a little too high on that guy, looking at the details here. And I remember thinking that looking back at the video when I did the report on him, but I didn't really account enough for it. And so but I did not have that with Trikozov, so I'm hopeful. But other than that, like if I go back to 2020, like what was my 2020 list? Because that's probably around when I can look at it and go, yeah, I might want to give up on these guys. Lucas Reichel. I thought Lucas Reichel was going to be a good top 9 NHL player, and he just can't seem to stick in the lineup. Maybe that's different now, but I really liked him. Yeah. Not a whole lot, honestly. Like, I'm looking at 2020, and I mean, I thought Ronnie Hirvonen, I think Ronnie Hirvonen going back to Finland is a really good example of Toronto going in the wrong direction, because I know he didn't score a ton with the Marlies last year, but watching him last year and watching him this year in Liga, man, like, that guy could be a bottom six center. I would give him a contract. I would give Toronto future considerations for Ronnie Hirvonen and plop him in the AHL, see how he does, because that kid can skate, he can throw hits, he's got skill, he's smart, but he just hasn't cracked it yet. He just hasn't figured it out. But that's a guy I also had a pretty high hopes for. Can you think of any comparable stylistic players to Cullen Potter? I mean, I thought like a Dylan Larkin type. Speed, skill. Takes some time to get there, but just maybe never 180 to 100 point scorer, but a really good top six center, like a great second line center on a contender. Like, he's not the guy I'm rolling out there to win a game in game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. He's not Sidney Crosby, but I think second line center, second line winger maybe, but I love him at center. Would be kind of my estimation. Reichel has been top 9 caliber. The Hawks are just where player development goes to die. Well, is that true, or is Frank Nazar a success story? I don't know. I don't know. But look, I have complicated and nuanced feelings about the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's just say that. I'm not going to warn you. I'm going to warn you about a tough, rough Sweden 09s at the U17. Not looking good. It looks like they've started a rebuild of the age group, and they're still missing their most hyped guy from injuries. Yeah, I mean, the 09s in Sweden that I have seen have been okay, I guess. Like, they're fine, but the Russian 09s are scary. That's one to think about. Finland has some good 09s, I think. But I also have not seen nearly enough 09s to know, except for what's it called? I lost my train of thought. I haven't seen a bunch of the 09s except for the Russians. Those I've seen a lot. Survivor thoughts. I saw no spoilers, so I won't spoil it. How do I do this without spoiling it? I mean, so far the season, I think, has been solid, good. I will say that I have a spirit animal. Like, Sage on this season has been my spirit animal. Like, if I were her, if I were there, I would be her. And I feel like me and her would get along really, really well. Like, a little bit weird. Well, she's very weird, and so am I, but like dark, but still like a bit of maybe a tough nut to crack to some people, but like once you crack the nut, it's like, are you sure you want to crack that nut? Like, I'm cool if you are, but I go deep, man. Once you crack the nut, I go deep. You're going to be up at, if you're going to wake up at 8 a.m. and you're going to see Instagram DMs at 2 a.m. of deep fried Jack Nicholson memes and, Sora videos of Stephen Hawking doing a 900 on a half pipe. Like, that's what you're gonna get. So if that's who I am, if that's what you're cool with, then that's cool. So for Survivor, that's what I'm at. That's where I'm at. Sage is my spirit animal. It's been good though. Like, it's a good season, I think. Nothing too crazy or surprising, I don't think. And again, I'm not spoiling anything. The only thing I'll say is that I think the 3-tribe format is played out and old and lazy and bad. And also the challenges, I'll say this, not spoiling anything, the challenge this week was really, really good. I thought it was great, but I am a little bit tired, and this wasn't one of those, but I am a little tired of the challenge of crazy physical thing and then a puzzle, because I would say 9 out of 10 times, everybody just catches up at the puzzle anyway. Like, massive leads lead to basically being at the same spot in the puzzle area. It's like I would much rather one or the other, or I don't know. But the point is, Like Survivor, I think, is falling back on it's starting to fall back on a lot of like the same things, the greatest hits, so to speak. It's starting to sound like the life of a showgirl. It's like, I get what you're trying to do. It's like the greatest hits, but it's not working anymore, man. You got to grow up a little. Give us something new, something different. I get it. You had some good days. You've had a huge run. It's great, but people are looking for something different, something new, and definitely not a bajillion advantages and idols and stuff like they used to do like 5 years ago or whatever it was. That was nuts. But I will say, yeah, I'm going to say that it's a good season. There was one more thing I wanted to mention before moving on. I don't remember. Oh, well, but it's good. It's worth watching, obviously, because I'm watching it. Have you caught any of Catton's Kraken appearances? I have not. That's a tongue twister there. It's pretty good. I have not, but I want to. So I'll check them out maybe tonight. I'm alone at home for the next 4 days. So no one come get me. No one better come get me because I know how to use these. I took kickboxing classes until the pandemic. So I know I've got, once I get wrapped up and gloved up and shin guarded up, you better look out because I'll get you. So stay away. Unless you've brought something that we can enjoy together. Then maybe. But I've got a Ring camera, so be careful. But anyway, neither here nor there. But I'll have time to watch some of this stuff, is what I'm saying. Thoughts on Parek's game so far in Calgary? Do you think he needs more offensive support like Bouillon has? Yeah, kind of. But also he kind of is the guy that's supposed to be the offensive support. Like, again, it's the thing we talked about earlier, right? Parek, the reason I was down on him was not because of his offensive game. His offensive game is special. He is remarkable in the offensive zone. Like, you want to talk Evan Bouchard style defenseman, he is one of them. But you can't do that unless you get the puck back from the opponent when they have it, and that has always been Parek's weakness. It's a lot easier to do in the OHL than the NHL, and on a team like Calgary where there's not a whole lot of depth to help you out, it's tough. He's being thrown in the deep end, and we'll see how it works. I don't know. Have you had a chance to see Eric Nilsson? I have not. I have not seen MSU at all this year, I don't think. But I believe they're playing Michigan. It's Michigan State, I think, this weekend. So I'll watch that. That'll be fun. Do you think there's a chance where McKenna could be Kucherov kind of player, gifted offensively, especially on the power play, but has a unique play style that doesn't have a ton of pace? Yeah, I think Kucherov is a reasonable estimation there. And I think Kucherov has come quite a ways in his game since being a youth. And again, like I think with Kucherov, it's like, or with McKenna, like McKenna, when he's in his wheelhouse, is indisputably really, really good. And I guess you could say the same thing about Kucherov. But again, it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Oh, is it for football? Okay, never mind. Forget I said that. But none of the but what was I saying? Wow, I already forgot. Right, McKenna. Yeah, like Kucherov is kind of up that alley, I guess. And again, it's going to come down to value. Like, what do you value in a player? And I think it's an interesting discussion, right? Like, you have a player who is indisputably extremely good in certain areas, but in other key areas is a little deficient. But they score 100 points, let's say. How valuable is that player if they score 100 points and a lot of it is on the power play, but you watch them play and you go, God, that's a great hockey player. You know, I wish he was better, but he's a great player. You know, I wish he was better in some areas, but he's a great. And like compare that. Again, I in terms of what I value when it comes to the draft, like if Gavin McKenna were a free agent in the NHL, then yeah, I would want him. I'd clamor for him for sure. But in the draft, like I'm looking for stuff that's really, really, really hard to find. And yeah, 100 points might be hard to find, but like guys that I think will be able to bump and grind and play with NHL level pace, and no matter what the situation and no matter where on the ice, that you're going to get something that moves the game in the right direction. To me, that's rare. Like that's rare, and that's what you want. Like that's what you win with. You may not score as much with them, but you'll win with those guys. Like I want that, that's the key. So that's the thing, and obviously Kucherov has won. He's won Stanley Cups. Like that's, sure, but he's part of the club. Right. And also he wasn't a first overall pick, right? He was a re-entry, wasn't he? Like, yeah. So, hindsight is 2020, but it's important to keep these things in mind. Can you please look at Rempe's analytics? He's been amazing this season. I don't believe you. I refuse to believe that Matthew Rempe has been unbelievable this season, but just because you said so, I will look. But watching the Rangers this year, he looks like Matthew Rempe to me. Like he's big and he hits and goes to the net. Yeah. Yeah, I mean his analytics do look good. How much is he playing? Like he's like bottom 6 minutes. All right, sure. Cool. Good for him. Still don't know if he's like that good of a hockey player. He's humongous and he throws hits. I don't know. But you like him. It's fine. It's okay. You're allowed. Not, let's go Rangers and all that, whatever. Marcus Nordmark, smart, good, complimentary offensive player. I like him, but I've been a little underwhelmed watching him this year. Is AJ like Rizzo? No, he's not. AJ is not like Rizzo. AJ would want to. I feel like AJ would want to punch Rizzo in the face, rightly or wrongly. That's up to you. But I think AJ would want to punch him in the head. AJ is more of a Savannah, maybe. I don't know. He's gonna kill me. I don't know. Like AJ is more of the. He's a different type of obnoxious at times. Not Rizzo obnoxious. He's not. AJ's not parading himself, calling himself the GID god, the Jadaro, the Jadaro maniac, right? Like he's not giving himself nicknames and, speaking in Gen Alpha slang. Like that's not what he's doing. It's a little different, AJ would go on Survivor, win a challenge, and give everyone else the middle finger when he wins. Like that's the type of person you're getting with AJ, and I don't think Riz God would do that. Have you seen any of Sergei Skvortsov? Yes, and he's unreal. I love Sergei Skvortsov. I saw him 3 times last summer. Stupid good hockey player. Him and Roman Kozhevnikov and Pravalov are the 3 Russians that I've adored from last year. And there's a guy on Omsk, Vladimir Mozhukin, I think. Really good defenseman, too. A lot of good ones. What's your take on Hawks prospects? Frondel, Kanserov, Lardis, Moore, Vanek. Oh, jeez. So all of them. They're all good. Chicago's drafted a billion times. They've added a lot of good players. I have doubts about Kanserov and Lardis translating to the NHL, but I think Vaneker is going to be a good third line maybe guy, pressure absorbing guy that can play a role. Oliver Moore I love. Anton Frondel, first line winger, second line winger. I could easily see that. Václav Nestrasil, I liked him. I saw him in a college game the other day, and I liked him. I thought he looked good. Again, Nestrasil was a guy who, it's really hard in my position, right? Like, because Nestrasil, I had him ranked lower than he got drafted, But if you looked at his best moments and the raw ability that he has, and you believe in it, I can see why you would value him there. And I don't know if I would have drafted him ahead of a Cullen Potter, for example, but I see the appeal at that point, right? I liked him last year, but like it really came and went. And like the hockey sense and the team first thing, it was a bit of a question mark, but I think he scored a lot of goals this year and doesn't really have that many assists. And again, like that's kind of an indicator of how I felt about him last year, but not a bad player. Like he's a good player. I like him a lot. And yeah, like it's a matter of like the future for him. But I liked what I saw. And the Chicago Blackhawks they've amassed quite a stable. Would I have done things differently here and there? Sure. But through it all, they've done what you need them to do. They've amassed a good group of players. Do you think some Europeans are undervalued in their draft year because they aren't playing pro? Then they turn pro as 18-year-olds and have good plus seasons. But I mean, yes. 10 points in 60 games in the CHL gets you drafted. Yeah, that's half the reason I'm doing what I do. Like that. Look, I know I'm preaching to the choir on this. Like, obviously, if you're watching this show, you probably are not just watching to be curious about other opinions about this sport. Maybe you are. That's cool. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but like, I might be preaching to the choir is what I'm saying. But like, this is why I believe, number one, why I believe I'm not working in the NHL right now. There's probably many reasons. But a big reason is because the way I do things is just from a fundamental standpoint, significantly different from almost every team in the league, if not all of them, right? Like the way I do it is so far out in left field that it's a foreign language, right? But the reason I do it this way is because I'm trying to cut out as much bias as I possibly can. You know, I've said this before, I think on the show since the summer, but you know, feel free to get your licks in, but I am an avid user of large language models. And a big thing I did this summer that took a few days of like refining and working and whatever is building, like basically leaving my viewpoints out of it and using like psychological principles, like science papers and scientific principles of building a framework of how this job should work. Right. And I wish I was joking. I wish I was joking. And maybe it's confirmation bias, but I went out of my way in my prompts to say, please exclude if I sound biased, go the opposite direction. Challenge my bias if I come off as that. And I want your analysis to be based in academic research, right? Not Reddit discussions, not my video transcripts. I want academic discussion, setting aside normality. And it was basically around the like psychology of groups and like the psychology of athlete development. And what came out the other end is exactly what I expected, where scouting staffs are full of biases. And the biggest one is that there are too many voices for small groups, and there are too many voices to stay organized in all those subgroups. And what I mean by that is like you might have 8 scouts in Canada and 5 scouts in America, 3 scouts in Europe. What does that sound like to you, right? If you have a bunch of guys whose job it is just to go to rinks in Ontario, they're going to have Ontario guys that they're going to want to get behind. So how do you have the discussion of this Ontario kid that this guy wants? Probably not a better bet than this Finnish guy that our Finnish guy really likes. There's no other Finnish guy to back him up. The Swedish guy might go, well, I saw him at a tournament. I thought he was fine. But then you might have the other Ontario guys go, oh yeah, I've seen this guy 7 times as well, and I really like him. It's like it creates a fundamental imbalance. So the way that this model came out the other end with in terms of how to develop, the way that the way that it kind of broke out, I said, like, design using psychological principles, academic science, like start from scratch, build an NHL scouting department using technology to its fullest extent and like whatever. And it outlined bang on exactly what I would do. You get like between 4 and 8, it said 4 and 8 guys, or well, people, I should say. I shouldn't, people between 4 and 8. And all they do is just grind video. They grind and grind and grind all around the world. Does not matter where the player plays. You gather extensive information, as much as you possibly can globally, through video. And they are a group, 4 to 8 people. And I think that is enough. I would not want more than 7 or 6 probably. And I'm thinking clones of me. I think once you get past that, biases start to creep in, and that is true scientifically speaking, like beyond 8 or so. And think about it. Imagine you had to work on a group project in school and there was 20 of you. Like, the big thing the paper pointed out that it made for me was, like, in groups that large, you have people who are afraid to speak up because they're going to get drowned out by the 19 other people in the room. And you also have people who do less work because they figure that everyone else is going to do the work for them. And I'm not saying that's what happens in scouting in the NHL, but like, those are the biases you open yourself up to in groups that large. Now, on the flip side of that analysis that it did, it also said you need, a person in Canada, a person in the US, a person in Europe to do your intelligence gathering, right? Their day-to-day, it's not they're at the rink every night. They travel by day to interview coaches. They do Zoom interviews with players. They pick up information. That's their job. They're scouting the person, not the player, right? It's a bonus if they can see a game of them playing and like get a vibe for that too. That'd be great. But like, the point would be grinding all day to do as many interviews and get as much information as you possibly can about as many players as you can. And then you combine all those things. So you have a group of people who are responsible for like the intelligence gathering and a group of people responsible for the information gathering, right? And so you combine those things and you come out with targets. You go, okay, this guy meets our expectations on this side. This guy meets our expectations on this side. This guy da-da-da-da-da. And then you go from there. I know there's a couple of NHL teams who are kind of like dipping toes in that a little bit, but by and large, that's not how it works. So yeah, I mean, look, I am just a guy, I'm not saying that I have the solutions, but it is something that I look into. And like, another thing that it highlighted in terms of like biases and whatever, because a big thing that I think is a blind spot for me is looking at potential development physically, right? How can you tell, because I don't have access to do all the measurements and the tests that the NHL wants to do on these guys to project their future. I can't call up Lane Hutson's doctor and go, hey, can you give me a bone growth chart for Lane Hutson to tell me how big he's going to be when he's 20? I can't do that. So what are the external factors that you can look at and evaluating in the context of an NHL draft to figure out who is going to do what? And the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that it said, not literally, but basically what it said was judging a book by its cover. If you have a 17-year-old with a bushy beard and they're 6'5", you're probably not going to get much more development out of them from there, right? But if you have a 17-year-old who looks like a 6-year-old and is 5'9", and their parents are 6'2", then you're probably going to end up with a kid who's going to grow more. It's a probability thing, but that's the general gist of it. But it seems like in the NHL, the opposite is true. If you don't look like a physically developed person, if you don't look like an NHLer, then you're devalued. Lane Hutson, almost a third-round pick. He looked like a 2-year-old on the ice when he played at that age, right? So if anything, you need to flip that around. But anyway, I'm digressing from the point. But in general, that is kind of that's kind of where I come from. Where were we here? My God, we got hot. I'm hot now. I'm hot now. But the answer to your question is yes. Okay, there we go. If you could, as Jeff, if you could ask Jeff Probst, I guess, any questions, if you could ask Jeff any questions, what would it be? Who does your Botox? Because it's great. I don't know. You're trying not to anger Leaf fans. Is Marner the missing Leaf forward? No. Timothy Liljegren and Rasmus Sandin are the missing Toronto defensemen. That's my point. I think it was Jay Fresh who said last night or 2 nights ago, this Toronto Maple Leafs team is the team that everybody wanted. You wanted Marner out of town. You wanted the defenseman to be big and strong and mean and nasty and physical. You wanted all these guys. Now you have them. And if Anthony Stolarz isn't standing on his brain, the probability of them winning is way lower. I watched it happen with Brian Burke and Dave Nonis 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, 15 years ago. They went, we want to be the toughest team to play against in the league. We want to be mean. We want to be nasty. We're getting pushed around too much, yada, yada, yada. And they just became bad. Right? Austin Matthews has not looked like Austin Matthews this year. I don't know. I think people just have to come to terms with the fact that he is just a extremely good transitional center now. He's a 200-foot impact guy who is not going to score 60 goals in a season. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just has not looked like that person. It does not look like that version of him yet at all. And that was happening last year too. Not a bad player, just very different from what he was. But for me, to answer the question though, I don't think that's the case. I think you can survive without Mitch Marner, but I don't think that you can survive with a defense group like that and guys without pace and speed and quickness, right? Like Dakota Joshua. I watched a game the other night. I did not notice him one time. Maybe I'm blind. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, but like, I don't know. But I don't think it's a problem I don't think it's a Marner thing. I think it's a just personnel defense thing. Was watching my first Ryan Lynn game. I was loving his breakout passes, even though his skating is meh. Then I saw him forecheck as the lone player against 4 opponents. Yep, that's what he does. That's what he does. Behind the opposition's net, yes, that's what he does. That's true. MSU is playing Penn State fairly soon. Okay, well, that'll pay attention to. Parek's rush defense has been really good. His board work and zone defense needs some work. I believe that. I can fully believe that. I think his rush defending did get a little bit better over the course of the year I tracked him, but the problem for me was in the defensive zone and passing the puck on breakouts. Those were the key areas where I kind of was like a little bit, but if he can get the puck in the offensive zone, he's lights out. We talked about Jurovsky a little bit. Oh, you should watch Peter Green. Yeah, that's the name was that the guy that just drafted Peter Green? I feel like he's an 09, right? I don't know. But Peter Green. I do have that name in the back of my mind. Ross Johnston's analytics look good right now too. Yeah, not saying much. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like a lot of these types of players, are they really valuable, right? Like analytics are a tool and a way to look at the game. And I mean, you do want guys driving good results, right? But also number one, it's early sample, it's early days, it's early goings. But I mean, a lot of it comes down to, can you grind? Are you a grinder? A low event in general, are you a grinder? I don't know. I don't know. Look, I'm coming from a standpoint of having watched Matthew Rempe since he was 17. And I'm like, this guy in the NHL, like I said it in the draft recap when they drafted him. I'm like, he's huge and he throws hits and he skates okay. So I imagine and there's an NHL job for him, maybe. It's possible. Guys like that can play. And here he is. And he's doing exactly what I thought he would do. So, is that automatically a thing that you should value? Like, is Matthew Rempe a guy you should draft in the first round? It's like, well, if he is, then I'm not going to do this anymore, because then I am actively looking for guys that just, like, he wasn't effective, but he did his thing. He did a thing, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to read that, but yeah, like Ross Johnston looking pretty good too is like, I don't know. It's a lot more complicated than chart look good, therefore good, in my opinion. Catch any more Surin games? No, I don't like him. I think he's a D&D there, and that's just for you. Everyone else, I think he's great. He's a good player, fun to watch, really rambunctious dude. But because I know who this is, I'm a Preds fan. All Preds prospects are terrible, and he's awful. He's the worst of them all. What did you think of Nils Bartholdsson? He's all right. I was a little frustrated watching him, but I like he's skilled and whatever, but I don't know if his pace of play is really projectable. I need to go back and watch him. I didn't really know what to think of him after the game that I did, and I watched another game and still didn't know what I thought. I just wonder if he's just kind of like a Ryan Rubrek style impact, where it's like he's kind of there and chipping in, but not really making a huge difference, but has some skill, and you see it pop once in a while, but not nearly enough. I don't know. Did you see the end of the game between the Golden Gophers and Ohio State women's hockey game? No, but I'm going to look it up because that would be great. Ohio State, Minnesota women's hockey. A brawl. There was a brawl. Oh, very interesting. Okay, well, I'll put that on later. Yeah, fun times. Hard to filter out prompter bias in LLMs, but the findings 100% line up with organizational psychology findings. Yeah, I mean, that is true. That is definitely true. And I think that something I'm learning as a user of these is like you kind of have to take multiple runs from different angles in the same subject and kind of get different like nuanced looks. Like I use Perplexity mostly, and I segment a lot of my conversations into spaces, if you're familiar. Like I use their web browser, I use Comet, and you can kind of segment your prompt library quite a bit. And so it's like I try to, take different angles at the same end result and just see the commonalities and see what comes out the other end. And I find that if you are very, like with prompt stuff, like if you're very specific about what you don't want, generally it listens, right? Like that's kind of the thought. I mean, I heard someone, I think it was Mark Meldrum, who runs a really good YouTube channel. If you're a finance person, a really good YouTube channel, Canadian, by the way. And he was he uses AI a lot as well, mostly for news and quarterly updates and all that stuff. And he said, like with AI, it seems like the chatter on the ground is like, it's not gonna replace, but it's gonna augment the workplace, right? Like you're gonna need to be able to know how to use it. Like it is a skill prompting an AI engine. Like there is a method to it. There is a, like a lot of what I do is like, not a lot, but a lot of the time what I do is I ask it to tell me how to prompt it. Like how to work with me to design a prompt that achieves this goal, keeping this and this and this and this and this in mind, avoid this, do this, avoid this, do this. And I think the more you kind of ask it specifics, the better you're going to get out of it. So it's like you have to have a level of expertise to utilize these models to their maximum extent, right? Like otherwise, for example, if you see a stock, for example, that has a really low PDE ratio and you're like, wow, it must be really, really valuable. And you just plug it in and you say, should I invest in this? It's going to probably give you an answer that is going to line up like an astrologer would, right? Like it's going to sound like something right to you, but you need to be way more specific. It's like, write me an essay about Oliver Twist. Write me a book report on Oliver Twist. It's like, okay, it'll do it, but like it's going to be slop. But you have to, if you understood the story of Oliver Twist and actually read it and could actually give it skeleton notes to work with, focus on this part of the character development, avoid the plot itself. Like I don't need to, if you refine your query, it's a lot more accurate, right? It's like going to the library and saying, I want books on science. It's like, well, what science? Like, what do you mean? You know, it's like, oh, well, but the more you specify, the better off your result will be. So that's been my experience. But yeah, it's true though. Like, you have to be very careful. You have to be really, 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 really careful. And you have to be reflective. Like, you have to have awareness and critical thinking skills, I think, to maximize their potential and their abilities. But yeah, I don't know. I the amount of productivity increase I've gotten out of them in things that so far haven't burned me is incredible. It's unbelievable. So, you know, as long as Google keeps building those solar and wind farms and nuclear plants and all that stuff, I'm okay with it. Oh, Mikhail Holm is here. Wow. TV Puckin is on TV. Yeah. So Barlow getting called out again. I didn't say that. Oh, Ray Bro, what's going on, man? Draft players based on favorite Pokemon starter. Yeah, but did you hear about the guy who sells Pokemon for a living or for a side job in the NHL and everybody made fun of him for it? That's what you get for having some fun hobbies in the NHL. So, is it Jake DeBrusk? No, maybe not. Now you got me thinking about my favorite Pokemon starter. I mean, I'm kind of tethered to Charmander because when I bought Pokemon Red when I was a little boy, that's what I went with because I was a man and man fire good man, you know. But yeah, Pokemon starter. I don't know. I'm probably tethered to Charmander. Totodile was pretty cool. Totodile was my starter in gold, and that was pretty fun. The Leafs need Roman Josi. Yeah, sure, maybe. Sandin is all right. He was the first month he got to Washington, but he's not some missing link. But he is what they need. Like, what he does is something Toronto cannot do, like, or do very effectively. Like, I know I'm not saying he's like the solution, but players like the ones they've traded away are it. I think. That's just my opinion. Yeah, you can't have geeks in the league. Squirtle all the way, fair enough. Pavel Dorofeyev looks like Austin Matthews. Oh boy. Thoughts on Finney? Will he continue his production? Well, if he keeps playing with Lucas Raymond and Dylan Larkin, he will. He's got his job. He sticks to it, and it works. He was not great in Toronto, though. Well, they traded him when he was like 22. Like, what do you expect? He was 23, something like that. Like, I don't know. All I'm saying, it's not specific to Rasmus Sandin. All I am saying is that type of player, they had them, and over the years they devalued them. They Timothy Liljegren should have been on their power play. It's like, and you give him the experience and ride him on the power play because he had skill and a threat from the point, right? Like, he gave you that. Like, the Toronto Maple Leafs, their whole thing for years has been chase expected goals. Look at the analytics crowd that's been in the chat today. Matthew Rempe's analytics are amazing. The Toronto Maple Leafs analytics, by far some of the best in the league, and have been so for years up until last year. Why doesn't it work? Because it's predictable that way. NHL teams just clog the middle against the Toronto Maple Leafs on the power play because they know they're trying to funnel it to the front of the net. Sometimes you just need to blast it from the point and tip it in, right? So for me, I look at the Toronto Maple Leafs and I just look at the group that they have and I go, when they had some of these more skilled defensemen who can control the puck, control possession, yes, they might get pushed around a little bit, but they can play hockey and actually like bring impact that drives the play up the ice, then that's valuable. Like, whether it's Rasmus Sandin or whatever, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But like, I don't know, what they have is not working. Like, what's there now? If you're getting skated around by the New York Rangers of this year, then something doesn't seem right to me. So what is it? Is it that they don't have big enough or strong enough or tough enough defensemen? I don't think so. I don't think that's the problem. All right, let's bang through these because my voice is starting to go and we've been going 2.5 hours here. Where would Victor Wembanyama and Shohei Ohtani go in the 2026 draft? 1 and 2? Yes. Wembanyama, man. I saw someone in this chat, someone in the server last night was talking about his performance last night. I saw some highlights today. Oh my God, that kid is a freak. And I mean that respectfully. Thoughts on Vancouver, Seattle jerseys? We did that already. They are sick, especially Vancouver. I love it. Marner is averaging on a 117-point pace. I am not surprised. He's on a really good team. He's with really good players. He was a 100-point guy with Toronto too. That's what he is. I worked on publicly available enterprise applications for LLMs for a $1 trillion company, and one of the first outcomes was to replace 300 people with bots. That's true. I shouldn't say that it like wouldn't replace people, but I mean like in order to use them to their fullest advantage, it still requires expertise. That's my point, right? Like obviously it's bad people losing their jobs and all of that. It's never a good thing. But like unfortunately that's just the reality of the world forever, right? Like any technological advancement, anything that increases productivity per person, you're going to either have to sort it out and figure out a way to work with it. Like once Excel showed up, once Microsoft Excel showed up, the working world completely shifted. Once the internet showed up, the working world completely shifted, right? Like all of these things happen and it sucks because there's collateral damage from it, right? But look, I'm a believer in tough moments being good once in a while. Like it sucks. I am empathetic towards everybody. It's awful. I feel terrible that people are losing their jobs. It's terrible. But like, sometimes the greatest things are born out of necessity, Sometimes your best moments, sometimes your luckiest moments are born out of necessity and desperation. So it sucks, but like, I see what your point is though. You're right. Like you're correct. But I'm more saying like, I don't think that an employee can pull some Joe Schmo off the street or some accounting firm can pull a Schmo off the street, pay him $30,000 and give him ChatGPT and say, now do our taxes, right? Like, I think that's a recipe for failure, but an accountant or a team of accountants at like H&R Block that have to do a quadrillion, tax returns, they could probably increase their productivity pretty significantly. What are your thoughts on Beniers in 2020 and what are they are now? I loved him. I see. How is he doing this year anyway? Like, whenever I watch Seattle, he stands out. Like, he's really good. I just like his shot selection has always been a problem. Yeah, he's on pace for another sort of 50-ish point season. I mean, to me, like that was a bit of a soft draft year at the top, and he was my number one. I love him, and I still do. And again, like I remember watching him at the World Championships too, because I was like, is there something else going on here that, and I do feel like he is a very, very good player still. But he might just be this transition focused 60-point guy at his peak, right? Like he's turning 23 in a month, less than a month, a couple weeks. But I like him a lot. I think he's a very, very valuable part of Seattle's team. I think he brings a lot to the game. I think locking him up at $7 million until he's like 29 is a great deal. Seattle just needs, like, you look at the Seattle roster, and I think Beniers needs a trigger man on his line, right? Like Beniers needs someone, like I'm looking up and down their lineup. Who's the goal scorer? Like Jared McCann? Maybe, but I think McCann's more than just that. Like they need a guy who you can hand the puck to, who he can hand the puck to and finish for him, on a much more reliable basis, right? Like Jaden Schwartz, I don't think so, Like they need someone who, like, maybe it's Yanni Newman in time. Like I feel like Newman might be that guy. But that's to me and I feel like his surroundings would benefit from that, or he would benefit from that changing in his surroundings. Yeah, and he may very well get pushed around easily. Yes, like I always felt like he was a player that needs physical development. I mean, he's 6'2" and 180 pounds. Like there's still room there there's still room to grow. But I also feel like that the Jack Hughes build can also work. I don't know. We'll see. I think your point is they need more Martin Marincin. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what they need. Should the CHL have WHL versus QMJHL versus OHL games? I'm indifferent. Whether they do or don't, I don't really care. It would be fun, sure. But like, I don't know. The Memorial Cup is fun. I like that as it is. Maybe make it a little longer, but I like it. You know what I would do is a March Madness of junior hockey in Canada. That's what I would do. Now it sucks because there's 3 conferences, I suppose you could say, but 16 teams from each one playing a March Madness style bracket, and maybe you have a losers bracket, and then that's for the Memorial Cup. Now we're cooking. And it's like 1 game playoffs. How fun would that be? 1 game, 1 hockey game. You win or you're out. And you win 4 and you go to the Memorial Cup. That would be that I would do. You think Wright will have a breakout year? I think this is kind of what you're going to get. Like a smart, good, solid 2-way center who can score 60 points. Like I think that's kind of what he's on pace for, and that's probably what you're going to get. Again, a guy who I think needs a trigger man to help finish for him, even though he's a great shooter himself. Seattle just needs like firepower. Like Seattle has a lot of transition talent. They have a lot of skatey boys. They have a lot of ability to move the puck, but they don't have finishing ability. And they still don't seem to have just pure scoring upside. Like if they had landed like a Mitch Marner, even though he's not a goal scorer himself, but it adds offensive weapons that like would really help them. Anyway, I don't know. That's what I was. Chicago's top line should be Demidov, Bedard, Nazar. Yeah, well, too bad. The Leafs will be fine. November is the boom boom month. If they suck at the end of November, then I'll be concerned. Wrong. They suck. AJ, I'm sorry, but the Leafs, they don't look good. Like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe they'll be fine, but I think their weak points make them really, 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 really weak. Really weak. I think it would be interesting if you talked with the puck bunker guys. Darren says that Dane Noyer is a better prospect than Tynan Lawrence. Oh, okay. Sure. I'll go. I'll do anything. I'll do whatever. I mean, sure. Like they're free to say that. I'd be curious what the evidence is, but like, because Tynan Lawrence is insane. Like, I remember watching Dane Noyer last year at the Holinka and thinking, wow, this guy is a really smart playmaker, a really capable passer. There's a lot working for him in the right direction. It's just all around, I think there's areas where he could improve. But as an offensive winger or something, yeah, I think there's a huge runway there. Lawrence, this guy literally takes over hockey games. I have never once thought, watching Caleb Dane Noyer, like, this guy takes over a hockey game. Tynan Lawrence has done that multiple times. And that, to me, automatically is how I come down on that discussion. Why do you hate Stenberg? Why is he ranked so low? Because he sucks. No, I'm kidding. He's in a mushy top. There are 6 guys. I like them all pretty much equally. They bring different things. I don't know the answer to your question. Sorry. What's your guilty pleasure show you watch when you're alone? Oh boy. I would say Smiling Friends, but like that's not a guilty pleasure. That's a show with plenty of fans. Oh, here's one. Sometimes if it's late or if I'm tracking and I need something in the background, I'll put on Friends compilations. Like hour-long
I used to watch that show as a kid. I haven't really revisited as an adult, but like I still remember the moments. I still remember the episodes. It had its day in the 90s. And I don't know if a show encapsulates the 90s vibe as much as Friends does. I don't think. Maybe Frasier if you want more high class, like upper class 90s. Roseanne for like regular everyday 90s, but like 90s is kind of Friends. Friends is one for sure. That's a bit of a guilty pleasure. Too Hot to Handle. We watched that as a pair. We haven't watched the last season because it kind of jumped the shark a little bit, but that was a good one for a while. Inflated Glep RIP, exactly. Seinfeld isn't a guilty pleasure, I don't think. I think Seinfeld holds up pretty well. Seinfeld holds up pretty well, I think. I'm trying to think of any other garbage that I watch. I mean, I watch bad movies all the time, like just terrible. I'm a sucker for Korn. I love Korn in movies. I like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I watched Time Cop not too long ago. The scene where the house explodes is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, but we've talked about this before. Seattle has Furcus and Rickhoff. Maybe those are the shoot the puck guys. Maybe Furcus especially. Maybe, but I don't know. Like I think they need a guy. Like the thing about Seattle that's kind of frustrating to me is like they've drafted so much talent that like make a deal, make a splash, like utilize your futures to get a known thing, make waves. Like I don't know who it would be. Like I don't know. Like who's on a bad team that scores a lot, and I don't know. Like, but they need somebody, because it go, I don't know, a Tyler Toffoli in San Jose, like see if you can snag him for a season or two. Like he's there until 2028 at $6 million. Like maybe they want to get rid of that contract. I don't know. Stamkos is signed until 2028, and is he doing anything? Like if you shelter Stamkos, throw him on the wing, and he has 2 points this year, but like he was almost a 30-goal scorer last year. I don't know. I'm just throwing out whatever. Yeah, William Nylander. I mean, Nylander is right up Seattle's alley. So there's the thing. Who did you compare AJ to in Survivor earlier in the show? I don't remember. But AJ's more of a Johnny Fairplay. That's AJ. That's who he is. That's it. How do you think Hage's implementation in the Habs roster should be done? And the second line getting too crowded for a quick transition to the NHL. I take Hage along slowly. I feel like this is probably his last year in college. AHL to start the year. Like make him... I wouldn't hand him anything because I think I want to see... I say with everybody, plopping them straight into the NHL, you got to be really, really sure. And I would say with Hage, there's enough competition on Montreal that like you give him a chance, maybe you give him a few games, but I would say the expectation is the bulk of time in the AHL next year. And if he's gross and sick there, then you call him up. How do you is Buffalo better than Toronto this year? No, not at all. I don't think so. Yeah, Seinfeld for absurd 90s is true. Yeah. You like what in movies? Corn. Corny movies. You could maybe even call it cornography. I almost called him Alberta Smells. Does Albert Smits remind you of Heiskanen? That's a tall order, but I want to say yes because I love my Albert Smits so much. But kinda, maybe. You've put the thought in my head, and now I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to go back and watch some Heiskanen from his Liga days because you got me thinking, and I don't want to say yes, but I don't want to say no. I want it to be true. So I'm going to say yes for now, and I want it to be true. You've been listening to a lot of Korn. I love Korn, man. Korn that band rocks. That Woodstock 99 performance they did. I'm glad I wasn't there because I was also 9 years old. Not a safe environment for a 9-year-old. But that is a video if you haven't seen it to go and watch. That was crazy. Good times. Okay, AJ, you are not Christian. You are not Christian from. No, you're not. No, you are not. You just look like him because you're scrawny. I am not like anyone. Yes, you are. Anyway, do you remember Michael Nylander as a kid? Was he remotely as good as William? He wasn't as good as William, but he was a good player. I remember Michael Nylander pretty well. Like, he was often in the Eastern Conference, so I saw him as a young boy in Toronto. And I remember him being pretty good from what I remember, like from what I recall. So yeah, sure. Oh yeah, I am Christian. Probably no. I mean, I yeah, probably more like Christian. But anyway, I'm gonna go. I am very out of it now. It's been a long time. It's been 2 hours, almost 3 hours, and I don't know how the big streamers do it, man. Every day for like 7 hours. That's just oof. What a nightmare. Not that I don't like this. I greatly enjoy my time with all of you, and I hope you do too. So with that out of the way, we're going to call it. Thank you very much for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'm alone on Monday. AJ, if you're in the chat still, I don't know if you're going to be here or not. I think you said you're off until like a couple of Thursdays from now. But we're gonna hang out and have some fun. Yeah, I missed my 420 break. Yeah, smoke if you got him. Yeah, exactly. But anyway. We're back Monday night, whether it's AJ here or not. We're going to be back Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for joining me. We are going to see you Monday. I know I've said that a billion times. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Check out, okay, so next Thursday, AJ's here. Check out Scouching.ca. Get yourself a subscription. You'll get access to all kinds of data tools that got updated today. If you are if you're a partner subscriber at the higher tier, you'll get all that stuff updated as of now. Thanks very much for joining me again. Scouching.ca. Check it out. Puckpreps.com as well. Subscription also helps us out there. Thank you very much. We'll see you Monday night, like I said, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you very much, and we'll see you. Bye.